Tonight on Sports Channel, live from Dodger Stadium, it's the St. Louis Cardinals and the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome once again to Dodger Baseball on Sports Channel. I'm Joel Myers alongside Ron Sain. Tonight it's the opener of a three-game set between the Dodgers and the St. Louis Cardinals. Well, Ron, the last time we saw the Dodgers on the last homestand, things were going quite well. They were on a roll, but they were slowed down in Cincinnati.
Well, they certainly did have a great road trip, homestand. What the problem was that when they went on the road, had some opportunities to pick up ground on the Cincinnati Reds. They couldn't get it done. Now they come back another week later, almost the same place that they left, 9.5 games back.
Last time we saw the Dodgers on Sports Channel, with the victory they picked up, they moved to the 500 mark, and at that point, they were still within striking distance, 9.5 games back on the 22nd of June. But then they headed to Cincinnati, where they dropped 2 of 3, also losing 2 out of 3 at Atlanta. Now they come home for the all-important homestand before the All-Star break, still 10.5 games back of the Reds. So not only did they not pick up any ground, but they lose a game in the standings. Well, despite the disappointment of the road trip, one player has been very effective, center fielder Stan Javier.
Well, the pleasant surprise has been his offensive production. You see, he had a great road trip, hitting .400, but now his average is up to a team-high .337. His on-base percentage over .400. Plays great center field and has the ability to steal a lot of bases.
I don't think there's any doubt the biggest disappointment over in the Eastern Division of the National League has been the play of the St. Louis Cardinals. Waddy Herzog has to really be surprised with his team coming in at this late stage of the season. 13 games under the 500 mark still. Tonight, they will try to win their second in a row, going with one of their real aces in the starting rotation. As we look at our Gold Star matchup, and the starting pitching pairing tonight has the left-hander Fernando Valenzuela going for the Dodgers and the right-hander Jose De Leon for St. Louis.
Well, what these two pitchers really share in common is the fact that they've been very inconsistent. One well-pitched game followed by 2 or 3 not so well-pitched. But they both do have the ability to pitch low-run scoring ball games.
Dodgers start the homestand 2 games under the 500 mark right now at 35 and 37. And just a few minutes ago, we had an opportunity to talk with the Dodger general manager, Fred Clare, because some of the players this morning in the paper said the shortened spring training was one of the biggest reasons behind the slow start. We asked him if he agreed with that theory.
Well, I don't know that I would pin our standings right now to the shortened spring, but I will say this, and I have said it before, I would never want to go back to a 3-week spring training period. I simply feel that it's not enough time for a lot of reasons. I think that the whole rhythm of spring training from the club standpoint was thrown off. Where we would be today if we had a 6-week spring training period is hard to say, but I would certainly never want to go back to 3 weeks.
Fred, what has disappointed you the most this season?
Well, I think that overall, just the fact that we've not really been able to get on a good roll and have a good hot streak. And of course, our season started out in a tough point when we lost Oral, because as far as a single disappointment, that certainly was one of the most disappointing things to happen to our ball club, because it's had a tremendous impact on our ball club. And we just really have not played with the consistency that I would like to see. But on the other hand, I think that our players have really given good dedication to the game and have played hard, but we have not had the consistency that I would like to see.
Are you also concerned that your minor league system has not produced possibly the 5th starter that you so desperately needed this year?
Well, we have not been able to reach to Albuquerque to find that 5th starter. On the other hand, like with any ball club, it's kind of an ever-changing thing. We have a young man by the name of Terry Wells who came over in the Franklin Stubbs trade, who pitched a 1-hitter last night in Tacoma. It was Terry's 2nd consecutive good ball game, very good ball game. So we'll keep a close eye on Terry, as we will the other pitchers there. But it would certainly be a lot easier if we could reach down right now and pull up that 5th starter. But I don't think that puts us in a lot different position from a lot of ball clubs. Right now, pitching is very thin. I had a conference call with our scouts last year who were scouting all the AAA leagues. There's not a lot of pitching talent there, so it's a concern for us and for a lot of ball clubs.
A lot of speculation as well surrounding Kirk Gibson. If he is not involved in a trade during the course of the season, what are his chances of being in a Dodger uniform next year?
I can't really answer that because Kirk, of course, is a free agent, and Kirk holds a large part of that answer himself. I think, though, as far as Kirk is concerned, from day one when he became a Dodger through a tremendous 1988 season, through every day that he's ever put on a Dodger uniform, Kirk has always given everything that he has to our ball club, continues to do so, and right now we're looking to Kirk to contribute for our ball club.
The comments of Fred Clare, the Dodger general manager, as we welcome you back to Dodger Stadium. Fernando Valenzuela facing the Cardinals leadoff man Vince Coleman, as Fernando catches the outside edge, and it's even now at a ball and a strike. Coleman off to a superb start this year at .303 and an average of .254 in 145 games last season. But what he's doing so effectively this year is his high on base percentage. He's drawing walks, he's stealing bases at a great rate, leads the National League in steals with 45 so far, after stealing 65 all of last season. And he laces this one down the line, but foul in the hole with a ball and 2 strikes. Fernando Valenzuela comes in tonight, a game under the 500 mark, and what has to concern the Dodgers more than anything else is the lofty ERA, which has been going up over the last 3 to 4 weeks. It's at 4.09 now, and also the walks. That's just about 4 per 9 innings when you average it out, Ron.
Yes, he's been very inconsistent. One game he'll go out there and pitch extremely well, like he had to a week or so ago in one of our telecasts, but then again follows up with not a good ball game.
Griffin has to hurry and just gets Coleman. And if Griffin is playing back just a little bit, Coleman's beating it out. But Alfredo is in halfway at short. As we look at the starting lineup for the St. Louis Cardinals, Coleman grounding out to the shortstop. Will be followed now by Willie McGee in center. Pete Guerrero over at first base, batting cleanup. The former Bruin Todd Zeile is behind the plate. Terry Pendleton hits 5th with Jose Aquindo batting 6th. The right fielder is Rex Hudler. Ozzie Smith hits 8th, and De Leon is on the hill. McGee, just like Vince Coleman, doing everything he can to keep the Cardinals close in the Eastern Division, 8th in the National League with a .323 average after most of his season last year was wiped out by injuries. And this is the last year of his current contract, so it'll be interesting to see the developments with Willie McGee, whether he is signed to a long-term deal before the end of the year. He's already stated, Ron, that he wants to remain a St. Louis Cardinal.
Well, I think that's one of the problems that the Cardinals have had all year long, is the inability to understand where the direction of the club is going. They have a number of people who are going to be eligible for free agents, and I think it's bothered some. Last time we saw the Cardinals, McGee was not playing very well. Now he's really come back and been a leader on this club, already with 50 runs scored and hitting .323.
McGee behind in the count, stays alive at 1-2. Not many people will forget the catch he made at Milwaukee's County Stadium in the '82 World Series, where the Cardinals won it in 7 over the Brewers, and he took away a home run, reaching over the wall with a brilliant grab in left center field. Count is even now at 2 balls and 2 strikes. He still has good speed, great range in the outfield, never known for power, but he's very typical of a Whitey Herzog type of player, real slasher, real line drive hitter.
What he needs to do is continue to get on base and let his running ability take over. He's on a course to steal over 50 bases, score over 100 runs with a ball club that is really struggling. The Cardinals are next to last in hitting. They're last in home runs hit by a club, second to the last in runs scored. So offensively, they've been a real disaster. The thing about this club they really like to do is stay aggressive when they can be aggressive. They have 110 steals, which has really produced probably more of those runs than anything else.
And McGee does have to run out of the strike zone, becoming the first strikeout victim of Valenzuela's.
2-2 pitch well out of the strike zone, tailing away, and Willie McGee just has no chance whatsoever.
He commits very early.
One of the things on Willie McGee is that once you get ahead in the count, you can throw him a lot of breaking balls off the plate. He does not stay very patient. There's really only a couple of Cardinals in tonight's lineup that have given Valenzuela any trouble whatsoever, and one of them is Pedro Guerrero. The other one is Jose Oquendo. So this could be a good sign for Fernando getting back into a groove.
Strike one count to the former Dodger Pete Guerrero. We talked about it in the last start for Fernando Valenzuela. As you see, lofty numbers against his old team. .358 average against the Dodgers. Seems like when he takes a little bit something off his screwball in particular, he's far more effective. When he tries to bring it in, put a little more heat on it, that's when it flattens out.
he needs to continue to change speeds with his off-speed pitches. His screwball is his most effective pitch because it allows him to set up the hitters a little differently. When he was very successful earlier in his career, he was pitching around the same way, meaning screwball in and cut fastball on his hands.
Long run for Gibson, and he can't come up with it. Guerrero will hold up at first. And you be the official score on this one. Gibson had a long run, but he also got a very late jump on a little blooper off the fist.
Cut fastball from Fernando in on Pedro Guerrero's hands. Gibson does have a long run, but it's really right there, waist high for him to catch, and that's got to be ruled an error.
It is an error on the left fielder all the way. Came up and got him on the heel of the glove, so he's there in plenty of time. It wasn't off the front or the tip, but it came up on the wrist towards the heel of his glove. So the Dodgers commit an error in the first, and that is one thing they cannot afford to do. They've been when you look at the breakdown on games this season where the Dodgers have not committed an error, they have been a very successful group. And they've even committed just one error. They've been far below the break-even point, below the 500 mark in those games. Todd Zeile, the former UCLA Bruin.
I would say for probably the first 50 games, the Dodgers were committing an error a game. Over the last 22 or so, they've really picked up their defense. Their defense is much improved, but they do still have a long ways to go. And of course, even when Gibson did come over here to the Dodgers, he was not known for his defensive ability.
2-0 count to the Cardinal catcher. So an opportunity for the Cardinals with a man at first. And Gibson is over in left tonight. There was some speculation that he might have started in center, with Cal Daniels taking batting practice to find out if he could return to the lineup.
Cal Daniels with a late scratch, re-injured his back. How seriously, we don't know.
Zeile drives it to straightaway center, but Javier with good range takes it just shy of the warning track. And the side is retired after that error was committed by the Dodger left fielder. No runs, no hits, and one man left aboard for St. Louis. 1/2 inning has been played. No score at Dodger Stadium. It is a warm evening in Southern California. Fortunately, though, it is not a day game like the Angels experienced. What was it, on getaway day Wednesday, when it was only about 105 in Anaheim? And the temperature in downtown LA today only topped out at around 85, so a real break in the weather. Good news for the upcoming games over the weekend, as Jose De Leon gets ready to face the Dodgers for the first time. And let's look at the lineup card that Tommy Lasorda sends out, with Lenny Harris leading things off over at third base. Stan Javier, the hottest Dodger, batting second center field. Kirk Gibson hits third out in left field, with Eddie Murray batting cleanup over at first base. E.B. Brooks is the right fielder in the fifth spot in the batting order. Mike Scioscia bats sixth behind the plate. Juan Samuel hitting seventh over at second base. Alfredo Griffin bats eighth. His bat has come alive recently. And rounding out the nine, Fernando Valenzuela. De Leon, once again, a good strikeout pitcher with a 6-5 mark. 3.65 earned run average. Does not have a complete game. The entire St. Louis staff, though, only has 2 complete games. And De Leon, third in the National League with those 84 strikeouts, after tying for the league last year with 201. Defensively tonight for the Cardinals, former Expo Rex Hudlers in right field, McGee in center, Coleman in left. Guerrero, Oquendo, Smith, and Pendleton around the infield, with Todd Zeile handling the pitches of Jose De Leon. And the umpiring crew tonight, Jerry Lane is behind the plate. Tom Hallion over at first base. Mike Winters at second, and Paul Runge at third. I always get a kick out of pitchers that don't want to deal with anybody before a game. Well, their head down, they'll barely acknowledge you when you walk into the clubhouse. And spent some time tonight in the Cardinal clubhouse, and De Leon was seeking people out to talk with him. He was loose.
That is a real change, isn't it?
It's at the knees.
Well,
Lenny Harris is deliberating, but it's strike one.
De Leon does have some good numbers, but the thing that strikes me is his earned run average is a little high, especially playing in St. Louis, where they've always had good defense, and the ballpark is not a good home run hitter's park.
Lenny Harris rips it into right for a leadoff single. Harris has been an outstanding leadoff man for the Dodgers. Only 1 for 14 on the last road trip.
Batting second.
But still, 330.
Center fielder.
A little bit better than 330 in the leadoff spot.
Certainly has done an outstanding job since taking over that leadoff spot. Must continue to create the action for the Dodgers.
Now, you mentioned to me when you saw De Leon when he came up, his forkball was the pitch you really had to worry about.
That's true. He's got such a real good fastball. He was throwing in the low 90s when I first saw him. They now say his fastball's in the mid 80s, which I have trouble believing.
Javier with a good bunt out in front. Tough play for Zeal, and he throws it away. Harris is on his way to third, and he'll stop there with Javier cruising into second. I think Stan caught the Cardinals by surprise.
Well, here's a bunt right out in front of the plate. First pitch running, Lenny Harris. Javier gets the ball down, but Zeal has a little bit of trouble with his footing, and then throws from down under, throws right back into the runner, and Guerrero has really no chance of trying to make the pitch. Ball thrown right into the runner. Now the Dodgers, of course, creating a little action. Runners at second and third here with no one out.
Still no official ruling, and now they do call it an error. A sacrifice and an error, allowing Javier to move down to second. So not an official at bat for Stan, but down to second base on the air. So 2 runners in scoring position for left fielder Kirk Gibson. De Leon tried to backdoor the breaking ball in, and it's 1-0.
Well, we were getting back to the pitches that he does have. He had an outstanding forkball, which they now call the split finger for him, but he just started Gibson out with a breaking ball, which is actually third pitch. So for him to be effective, he's got to keep the ball down, get his forkball over.
There's the forkball that Ron was just alluding to, and it dropped a good 6-8 inches on Kirk Gibson.
Well, when you have a fastball, it's in the low 90s, and then you can come back with a pitch that is deceptively deceiving by arm motion and fall off the table right there when it gets into the hitter's hitting zone, you're going to have a lot of trouble. But the Cardinals right away, a team that now you can see some of the problems that have caused them to be occupying the cellar in their division.
A feeble attempt by Kirk Gibson at the off-speed delivery, and it's a ball and 2 strikes.
Another forkball at Gibson's well out in front. Does not have a good swing. Front backhand comes off the bat. Doesn't look very comfortable against that pitch whatsoever.
And there's going to be speculation, as long as there's talk around the area that he has voiced his opinion about possibly going back to Detroit. Now people are going to say, wait a minute, is his heart in it?
That's a possibility. I'd have to believe that he'd still want to do the best job he possibly can.
Fouls it away. Stays alive at a ball and 2 strikes.
But a player will do what is best for him in the long run. If he feels it's best to go back and into the American League, maybe he is better suited to go back and DH somewhere. Maybe his legs are not going to be able to give him the luxury of being an everyday player and possibly DHing mine.
One and 2, chop foul.
And you see the effectiveness of the forkball, previous pitch, fastball, good fastball in on Gibson's hands, and now he just stays alive by fighting off another off-speed pitch.
Easy night for the pitchers to get warm. Kirk Gibson was in the lineup for the first time in a long time on Wednesday night at Atlanta when he went 1 for 3. That was the first start for him in about 10 days, since the 18th. He was sidelined with a strained right groin muscle. Went down after playing in only 14 games. It goes down swinging to record the first out of the inning. Good breaking pitch by De Leon, and that looked like the breaking ball as opposed to the forkball.
Well, certainly not a good start after Gibson commits the error in left field in the first inning. Now has a chance to put the Dodgers on the board, but goes down swinging. Another off-speed pitch there. Good sequence of pitching by Jose De Leon.
Well, let me go back to the point that you brought up, that he doesn't have what he used to on the fastball, mid to upper 80s at the best. And he tries it to Lenny Harris on the second delivery, and it's ripped right into right field. as they're going to place Eddie Murray on intentionally to load the bases.
Not only is this a good move just to set up the potential double play in the first inning and get out of it, but Eddie Murray has hammered Jose De Leon. 3 home runs and 16 at bats, hitting .500. So regardless of whether or not someone feels this is a good decision in the first inning, based on what he has done, this is a good decision.
So the bases are loaded for the Dodgers. Scoreless tie, bottom of the first.
Batting fifth, number 21, right fielder, Hubie Brooks.
And the fundamentally sound call by Whitey Herzog as he looks for the double play to bail his right-hander out of the inning. De Leon career-wise 3-5 against the Dodgers. A 4.31 earned run average.
Another reason why this is an effective move is because Hubie Brooks is only hitting .119 lifetime against Jose De Leon, with 10 strikeouts and 42 at-bats.
1-0. I know Whitey Herzog does, as well as Tommy Lasorda, and I would think in this day and age that about 99% of the managers keep up with the individual numbers against his starting pitcher.
If you don't, you're certainly going to hurt yourself. You have to know who does what against whom, and it certainly helps managing an easier job.
Hard hit ball, but foul. Hubie has been in a power slump. He has not had a home run since the 9th of June. That was 45 at bats ago.
Could be related to the wrist injury that he has had, and also the shin splints. Sometimes when you've got nagging aches and pains, it's extremely difficult to get things rolling.
The 1-1. Popped up into right center. Plenty of time for Hudler to move under it. That'll bring him a run, though, on the sacrifice fly. It's deep enough. Harris touches the plate, and the Dodgers have the lead. So Brooks at least gets one in.
Batting sixth.
That's the second out of the inning.
Catcher, Mike.
And the Dodgers, when they scored the first, a 16-4 mark. And even though it is only 1 run, as they still have an opportunity with runners at the corners, it's got to be so helpful to the starting pitcher. As Mike Scioscia, one of the most consistent Dodgers all year long, and you don't see it in the offensive numbers all the time, especially with the Scioscia. 257 to start the night. There's that breaking ball catching the outside edge. 0-1.
That's the 4th or 5th breaking ball in a row, depending on the last one that he threw to strike out Gibson. But I was really surprised that the pitch selection that he used to try and get Hubie Brooks, he threw some very good forkballs to Gibson, and it looked like that was his pitch early on, with a fastball in on their hands. But he went to something that Brooks could get in the air and get that first run home. The forkball is going to produce more ground balls and a potential double play, and that's what he wanted, but he didn't get.
So it's Javier down at third, Murray over at first. And I am glad we're not doing 3 this weekend, because I don't know if my voice would hold out. With Scioscia at the plate in a 1-1 count. Ball and 2 strikes. Fouled off to the left side. Dodgers 2 games under the 500 mark. And in my estimation, the Cardinals the biggest surprise in the National League this year. 13 games over the 500 mark. We talked about it a little bit before we went on the air tonight, and you mentioned maybe the Cubs because of their successful season last year. But when you look over the last 10 years at what the Cardinals have produced under Whitey Herzog, you expect them to be in it just about every step of the way.
A number of people thought they'd be right there with the New York Mets, and now it's the New York Mets that are hot, and the Cardinals that are the ones continuing to struggle. The Mets won for their 11th game in a row, beating the National League West leader Cincinnati, so they're really back on top of their game.
It was a 4-2 win for the Mets over the Reds, while the Phillies top the Astros 2-0. Good news for Angel fans. The Angels already winners on the road by the score of 7-2. Dodgers looking for more right now with 2 away in the bottom of the first, leading by a run. And a 1-2 count on Mike Scioscia. Hard hit ball, backhanded by Akendo for the force play. And that takes care of the Dodgers. But the Dodgers do come up with a run. 1 run on 1 hit. And after one, they're on top by a run. Welcome back once again to Dodger Stadium. Good to have you with us on Sports Channel for Dodger Baseball. First of a 3-game set between the Cardinals and the Dodgers. Dodgers have taken 4 of the first 6 against St. Louis this year, taking all 3 in St. Louis, while the Cardinals took 2 out of 3 here recently at Dodger Stadium.
Leading off the second inning for the Cardinals. And batting
Go ahead,
fifth,
Joel.
number 9, third baseman.
I don't think it's the right call. But the Cardinals are here tonight. And leave it up to our cameramen to find any available bird, even a pigeon. We'll buy it. We'll take it. Terry Pendleton starts it off in the Cardinals half of the second. One of the most famous uniforms in baseball, that birds on bat logo. The St. Louis Cardinals is Pendleton. Offers. Strike 1. Terry's 29 years old. Channel Island High School in Oxnard. Played his college ball at Fresno State. And his .265 average right at his career mark of .263. Evens it up at a ball and a strike. Put together a solid season last year. Not hitting for the power that they would expect at third, with only 5 home runs thus far compared to 13 last year. But he did play in every game last season. He was bothered by a hamstring. We didn't see him in the last series against the Dodgers as he rips it down the right field line, and it just curves foul and out of play. Evens it at 2-2.
Cardinals have struggled offensively most of the year, and it's really a club that loves to be aggressive. Whitey likes to hit and run. He likes to steal bases. When they do get on base, it seems like everybody's running at once, but they just have not had many opportunities to stay and be as aggressive as Whitey would like.
Fly ball off the bat of Pendleton for Stan Javier. And it's the first out of the inning. So Valenzuela gets him on a 2-2 pitch. Fernando, early in his career, owned St. Louis. He dominated the Cardinals. Now, though, he's had problems winning decisions. He has not beaten the Cardinals since 1988. This is his first start against St. Louis in the Kern campaign. As Akendo goes after the first one, plenty of time for Javier and Gibson to converge. Stan's got it. 2 up and 2 down.
Seems like when a club is struggling, much like the Cardinals and the Dodgers for that matter, when we continue to focus on some of the problem areas that the club has had, the Dodgers, for the most part, they're struggling bullpen. But it now has gotten to a point where, with the exception of Ramon Martinez, that their starting rotation is becoming more and more inconsistent. It's hard to tell whether the 4-man rotation is going to allow that to continue to happen or whether it's going to be something on the plus side. We just really don't know unless it's over a period of time. But certainly the Dodgers continue to search for that 5th man in the rotation, and at this time unable to find it.
This is Whitey Herzog's kind of ball player. Rex Hudler, 0-1 count at the plate as he tried to bunt his way aboard. Hudler's already started at 7 different positions for Herzog this year since coming over the start of the season for the Montreal Expos. But he gives Whitey not only the versatility but good range in the outfield. He's a better than average right fielder.
Hasn't really had an opportunity to play much, but has outstanding speed. Gets down to first base from the right side in less than 4 seconds, so you know that he's out there for his speed. A lot of speed in this lineup. They just have not been able to generate any offense.
They have not been able to generate much of anything, and maybe it goes back to the Tom Bernansky trade a little bit too, because all of a sudden you didn't have to fear the middle of the Cardinal batting order. Guerrero not protected quite as much in the power positions when you cluster the power in the middle of the batting lineup. And now they can work around Guerrero a little bit more. Zeal's got to come through. He has recently, but still only 8 home runs. Fouled off at the plate, a ball and 2 strikes.
You look back at why would the Cardinals trade a guy who can protect Pedro Guerrero, drive in 80 runs, hit 20 home runs a year? Well, Todd Worrell. They had to go out and get a stopper, and Lee Smith from the Boston bullpen was available, and the trade was made.
You haven't seen much of that from Waddy Herzog this year. You saw the smile on his face. He hasn't been smiling much lately. 33 home runs, last in the majors. Now, granted, they play in a ballpark that is very, very difficult on power hitters. But Bernansky and Guerrero each right around 20 to 25 per season in a St. Louis uniform. As Hudler is fooled on the screwball, Griffin's under it. And it's an easy inning for Fernando. Cardinals go quietly in their half of the second. An inning and a half is in the books, with the Dodgers still leading by 1. The Dodgers Centennial celebration continues, and we look at the batting leaders by decade, all the way back to the 1890s. Zach Wheat in the 20s, Dixie Walker in the 40s, the great Jackie Robinson in the 50s, Tommy Davis, Steve Garvey, and Pete Guerrero, who's wearing a different uniform this evening. Over at first base for the Cardinals. Happy birthday, Pete. Got to wish him a happy birthday in the clubhouse. I said, how old? He said, 31. Somebody chimed in. That was the year you were born, Pete. Happy 34th, Pedro.
Well, he told me he was 28. So I said, is that the Dominican?
I asked for a birth certificate immediately. There were a couple of big cakes, and he was passing them out before the game. He's trying to get him out of there. I guess he's, like most of us, watching his weight. In St. Louis in the summertime, though, you can sweat it out in a hurry.
That's for sure.
You don't have to worry.
Boy, on that carpet, it can get to 135, 140 degrees on a good hot summer day.
Juan Samuel leading it off for the Dodgers. It's even now to fall in a strike. A lot of curveballs from Jose De Leon. More curves than the forkballs.
Especially to right-handers. It's almost like he wants to back him off the plate, but it's such a long, sweeping, slow-breaking ball that it certainly gives the hitter enough time to readjust.
Now, how tough is it on a pitcher like Jose De Leon? Taking maybe some direction, instructions, if you want to call it that, from a rookie catcher in Todd Zeile, as opposed to a Tony Pena, who's been behind there for the Cardinals for a few years now.
Well, to me, a pitcher was always in control of his game. He's always got the ability to shake him off. Catcher can put down the signs, but if he doesn't want to throw it, it's his ball game. It's why you have sometimes the situation that exists now up in Oakland with Bob Welsh and Ron Hasse. Steinbach is the everyday catcher, but not when Bob Welsh pitches. It's because they have this chemistry that works extremely well together, and Bob Welsh relies on Hasse to guide him through it, something that Terry Steinbach might not be able to do quite yet. But certainly, in my opinion, it's the pitcher's win-loss, and he's got to make the decision to stay in control. But it certainly helps to have a catcher who is thinking along the same lines.
3-2 count. Leadoff man for the Dodgers in the second. And it's ball 4 to Samuel. Well, that's nice to see for Juan and Dodger fans as well, that he is accepting walks these days, because of course he was in that horrendous slump. Tied for third in the league with 25 steals, but he has been stuck right around 24-25 now with that total for quite some time.
The Dodgers, for the second inning in a row, now have the leadoff runner on, and both times runners with speed, followed by left-handed hitters. So we'll see what happens here. Tommy does like to stay aggressive once he gets the lead, and even though it's early, he wants to put as much room between he and the Cardinals right now.
Alfredo Griffin with a runner going, and Samuel is gunned down for the 8th time this year as Griffin went after it. Todd Zeile with a good throw.
First pitch running, Juan Samuel does get a pretty good jump, but it's a good pitch in a good location. Ball beats him to the bag.
No question on the call down at second base. So Samuel still at 25 in 33 attempts.
Good pitch for Zeile to handle. Ball out on the outer half of the plate and up. Easy for him to step out and get, and almost as good as a pitch out.
The 1-1 to Griffin. Fisted foul. Running up the bat handle, and it's a ball and 2 strikes. Now, let me ask you this: do you sense that at times, if you don't get to a De Leon who's a veteran, and the bases are loaded with only 1 away, you only come up with 1 run in the first? Is that as frustrating to the Dodgers as it would seem to be, and maybe De Leon has a sense of relief now?
I think any time a pitcher can get out of a jam with less than you anticipate giving up, then it's a big plus. But you see here Alfredo Griffin swinging at a ball that's well out of the strike zone. Pitched before, well in on his hands, about 8 inches off the plate. And the ball that Samuel got thrown out at second base with was a ball that he normally swings at. So it wasn't such a bad pitch. They didn't want to just say, okay, we're going to throw a pitch out here, but we're going to throw it off the plate. This guy does not walk.
So there's 2 away after what appeared to be a promising start for the Dodgers in their half of the second. The leadoff walk on the 3-2 pitch to Samuel, who was promptly gunned down by the former Bruin Zeal.
To me, that last pitch was the only pitch he has thrown well in this inning. Lost Samuel. He threw pitches off the plate that weren't even close to being strikes against Alfredo Griffin. He just does not look sharp here in the early going, and yet has only given up 1 run.
And now third base umpire Paul Runge, the crew chief of this group, says it's an 0-2 count, that Valenzuela did go around in that last offering. It's a ball and 2 strikes. The Dodgers at 35 and 37 trail the Reds by 10.5, make it 11 rather. 10.5 if you want to count the loss. 11 to start the night. 10.5 right now. And they can pick up that extra half game if they can top St. Louis tonight to move within 10. As the Reds lost to the Mets 4-2. That's 11 straight wins for the New York Mets. The similarities when you look at Tommy Lasorda and you think about the problems the Dodgers have had, the frustrations he's experienced, have been in the pitching staffs for both teams. For Whitey Herzog's Cardinals and Tommy Lasorda's Dodgers. They have been let down more by the staff than the everyday 8. And when it comes to the Dodgers, just recently the starting rotation has been a disappointment. Before that it was the bullpen, where you really couldn't trust a lead for the Dodger bullpen. And all year long the bullpen's been a sore spot as Fernando sends it deep, but not deep enough to center field. So we're watching 2 teams tonight that definitely need help down the road in their respective pitching staffs. End of 2 at the stadium. Dodgers still by 1. Our next Dodger telecast are going to be Tuesday and Wednesday nights at 7:30 when the Cubs come to town to take on the Dodgers at the stadium. And we're looking forward to a couple of outstanding pitching periods. On Tuesday night, the Dodgers most likely will send Fernando Valenzuela to the hill, and on Wednesday night it'll be their hottest pitcher, Ramon Martinez. So join Sports Channel Tuesday and Wednesday night, 7:30, the Cubs and the Dodgers, right here on Sports Channel. Will they get another run for me to work with, he's asking. And I thought it was hot in the booth. He's in a warm-up jacket.
What a week of weather.
An angelic appearance on Sports Channel as we get ready to move to the top of the 3rd inning.
Leading off the 3rd
That
inning
is
for
the purest form of a baseball fan.
Number 1, shortstop, Ozzie Smith.
One of the great smiles in Major League Baseball, despite the .217 average, belongs to the Wizard of Oz, Ozzie Smith. Got to be tough on him because he has worked so hard over the last 5 to 6 years to get his offensive end of his game up to the point where they're not talking about just what a great defensive gem he is that short. Just a bit better than a 200 hitter career-wise against Fernando. And it's even now to ball and a strike. Smith, De Leon, and Vince Coleman coming up for St. Louis. 2-1 count at the Cardinals shortstop.
Over the course of the first 2 innings so far, Joel, the Cardinals are are putting the ball in the air, which is not a good sign for a ball club that has great team speed. Not too many power hitters in the lineup. For them to be successful, they have to make contact, put the ball on the ground.
Your point illustrated perfectly. Ozzie Smith almost looked like he was swinging for the fences, which is a mistake when you're a line drive singles hitter. And there's one away.
The reason for that is because if you have guys that have great speed, you want to put the ball in play from a line drive type of hitter down. You want the ground ball type of hitter. You want to put the ball in play. You want to make somebody run and catch it and try and throw you out. When you hit the ball in the air like a power hitting club does, you're creating a situation where now you only have to catch it to get the out. Cardinals certainly not helping themselves by this kind of a philosophy.
De Leon into the bucket he goes. You see the little grin on his face as he fell out of the batter's box on that one for strike one. He looks like he should be a hitter until you see him swing.
Well, that's what he is. He's a swinger. Another one of the players from the Dominican who I think they must, when they get out of bed in the morning and they go to the park when they're young and start playing, they just start swinging the bat. It must be right next to the bed. They don't want to wait for anything too good.
The pitcher that I like to watch hit the most was Joaquin Andujar. He thought of himself as a switch hitter.
He certainly did, and he used to swing very hard. Occasionally he'd make contact, but this is not the case for De Leon either. Does not make contact on this screwball down in the strike zone. Good pitch by Fernando.
And it's the second strikeout for Valenzuela. As Fernando is yet to allow a hit to St. Louis through 2 2/3. We're out of the top of the batting order for the Cardinals now. And their left fielder Vince Coleman, who almost beat out the ground ball that he sent to Alfredo Griffin for an infield single.
He makes it extremely difficult for the inner defense of any club. They have to shorten up on the infield because he's got such great speed. Now, you're going to take maybe a step and a half, 2 steps away from him just by turning him around and put him in on the other side of the plate. But certainly you have to be aggressive defensively to throw him out.
On-base percentage this year for Coleman, .344. They were really disappointed with Vince last year. His on-base percentage dropped down to .316 after an on-base percentage of .363 in '87. So back to numbers that you normally see around .340, .350 in that department for Coleman. And he's going after a pitch and trying to send it towards the fences.
They're not a very selective club, but certainly Vince Coleman has to be a guy that needs to get on base to set the table for the top of the lineup. And he's on a course right now to steal right near 100 bases. Already has 45, and the Cardinals as a team have stolen 110.
I've always considered a player like Coleman, when you look at his numbers, the on-base percentage, the way he manufactures runs, the way he finds a way to get on base, the most important number. He's in the leadoff spot. He has got to be on base for the Cardinals to be successful.
I think many fans fall into the idea that what is your average, what do you hit, as being the most important gauge for a hitter. It is not. It is how you use your abilities to help the club the most. And certainly with Coleman's speed, he needs to be selective at the plate, needs to draw his walks, and of course when he gets on base, he'll steal second, he'll steal third, he'll create all kinds of problems for that defense.
Leads the National League in stolen bases. If he stays on top, and he's got a 15 stolen base lead right now on Eric Yelding of Houston. So he goes down swinging. He become the first National Leaguer since Maury Wills to accomplish that feat of leading the league in stealing 6 straight years. We'll be right back to Dodger Stadium with the Dodgers on top. We move to the bottom of the third at Dodger Stadium. Dodgers scratched out a hit in the first on only 1 run, or scratched out a run on only 1 hit in the first, and really could have capitalized a minute of big inning as they had the bases loaded with only 1 away. But Hubie Brooks flied out to drive in that only run to the right fielder, and then Mike Scioscia hit the ball hard but right at the second baseman for a force play. Lenny Harris, top of the batting order, leads it off for Los Angeles, trying to bunt his way on. Goes after it for strike 1. Lenny came around to score that run for the Dodgers, leading off the bottom of the first with a solid single to right. Now let's see how many fastballs he sees from De Leon, because he jumped all over the fastball from De Leon on a 1-0 delivery. It's a breaking ball, but it's a big chopper for Akindo. Jose Akindo, a favorite of Whitey Herzog's, because just like Rex Hudler, he can play a good 7-8 positions for him.
Really turned out to be a great defensive second baseman right there with Ryan Sandberg. He's off to a slow start, but is now picking things up. Hopefully the Cardinals second baseman will have an outstanding second half.
Stan Javier reached safely with a sacrifice and made it all the way to second on a throwing error by Todd Zeile back in the first. Takes the first one over the inside edge for strike one. Better than a 400 average over his last 16. Scoring 16 runs in the process. And when you think about it, he would not have the opportunity that he's in right now that is presented without that injury to Kirk Gibson. And all of a sudden he had the opportunity to get back into center field. Now he does not want to give up the position. He was almost not even in the lineup tonight. Had Cal Daniels not felt a little stiff in the batting cage, it probably would have been a lineup with Daniels in left and Gibson in center. Stan Javier becoming the third strikeout victim of De Leon, who started with 84. Third best in the National League.
Number 23.
Good high fastball. Runs up and away from Stan
Gibson.
Javier. Has absolutely no chance of catching up with that fastball. But certainly Stan Javier has played an outstanding center field. A young player with excellent skills. Done an outstanding job offensively. Really picked up his on-base percentage, his average. And a guy right now is wondering, what are they going to be doing here with Kirk Gibson and when?
Gibson had a first inning he'd like to forget. Committed an error out in left field in the top of the first and struck out in the bottom of the first. And now at 0-1. Started the night with a 196 average.
And did not have a very good swing at that ball on the outer half either, Joel. He did not have a good swing at the fork ball his first time up. Does not seem to be picking up the ball or even seemingly very comfortable at the plate.
Did you leave the cage during batting practice, and if you were in a groove, feel like that would carry over to a contest?
No doubt about it. You're in there to get some swings in, get comfortable, and be in the right frame of mind by the time the game is ready to go. And he just hasn't had an opportunity to get comfortable yet. Struggled for the most part. Again, you hate to allude to the things that have happened to him, but not playing in almost a year has got to be affecting him.
Pops it foul straight back here and out of play. It's a ball and 2 strikes. 2 away, the base is empty. Dodgers by a run. With Eddie Murray on deck and Gibson at the plate. The World Wrestling Federation has nothing on those two. And now, does she want to accept it? The 1-2 to Gibson. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Real tough pitch to lay off there. Real tough. Borderline pitch. Pitcher's type of pitch.
Tap foul at the plate. De Leon, one of the few Cardinal pitchers over the 500 mark. John Tudor at 5-3. De Leon at 6-5, and then you've got Bob Tewksbury, who's been a pleasant surprise for St. Louis since they called him up from their AAA affiliate in Louisville.
Well, they need more pleasant surprises. I would hate to think that the great Cardinal fans back in St. Louis are ready to call this a season at the midway point. Certainly they are deserving of a much better season than what they're getting.
They do have great fans because they're very similar to Dodger fans. Regardless of where they are in the standings, they are going to be out there 35 to 45,000 strong every night.
Great support, and certainly they're looking for things to turn around. They would love for the second half to be exciting. I don't know how close they can get, but they've got 4 teams to jump over just to get back to the top.
The gentleman celebrating his 34th birthday takes away a base hit from Kirk Gibson, and the Dodgers go quietly in their half of the third. So we've completed 3 at the stadium. The Dodgers got that 1 run back in the first. They've made it stand up so far behind the very effective pitching of Fernando Valenzuela. Real honor tonight for us in the ballpark and joining us in the booth. An all-time Dodger great, Carl Erskine. No hitters, 52 and 56, and he is going to be joining us right now with Ron Say.
Well, everyone knows the Dodgers are looking for a fifth starter, Carl, but I don't think you're here for that. I think Carl is in town to join us for the Old Timers game on Sunday. Nice to have you with us, Carl.
Always great to be back in L.A. And you're right, the Equitable Old Timers game Sunday. I hope everybody comes early. I don't last too long.
What is it about the Old Timers game that you enjoy the most after all these years?
Hey, you know, it's tremendous. Put the uniform on, go back on the field, you get that good old feeling again, which you understand. But the Equitable games also help a lot of former players who really have some bad luck, and in a dignified way, we're able to raise some money through Equitable's games to get back to some of the guys that really need some help.
What's going on back in Anderson?
Well, I think the bank was open today, and I hope we made some good loans.
Great. Carl's not going to get away from us. He's going to join us for an inning here in the booth. Back to you, Joel.
All right, Ron. We'll get some of the perspective, but all-time Dodger great pitcher as we get ready to move to the top of the fourth inning. Dodgers and the Cardinals in the opener of the three-game series. So many memories to talk about with Carl Erskine. One season in particular after what had to be years of frustration for Carl and the rest of his teammates. He is getting hooked up as Fernando Valenzuela gets ready to deal to Willie McGee, Pedro Guerrero, and Todd Zeile. Valenzuela on top of his game tonight is not allowed to hit to St. Louis over the first three innings. Carl, let's start from the very beginning. And the very beginning, when you signed as a Dodger, you play as a Dodger, now you come into the clubhouse. There's Jackie Robinson and some of the others. Had to be great.
Right. Well, of course, I was a kid. Like most of us in those days, we're barely out of our teens by the time we got the big leagues. I came into the Dodger organization, a beautiful time. After World War II, regrouping, the club was rebuilding, and young players had a chance to go up fast. So we were all young in the early stages of our careers.
Liner off the bat of McGee. Gibson's got it. There's one away. Continue, Carl.
And it was a lot of competition for jobs. The Dodgers had about 800 players under contract in those years, 25 farm teams, one-year contracts. A lot of pressure to produce every time out, and if you faltered a little, you went back to the minors and had to make it back again. But I think those years brought the best out in a lot of us, and I know I hated to be optioned back, but man, you had to battle to get back, and I think some of that push really helped me to sustain my career.
Pedro Guerrero standing in, taking ball one. Now, was it a frustrating time in Brooklyn, late 40s, early 50s, building up to 55, because the Dodgers were close, but the Yankees were usually winning?
Yeah, you know, that club really had a great combination of talent, and we lost a tremendous game in 51 when Bobby Thompson hit the home run, and it should have devastated us, but no, we came back and won the pennants in 52, 53, 55, the whole thing. That club had trouble in the World Series with the Yankees, but they were a great team. Listen, those guys were dominant in the American League, won 10 straight pennants. I don't apologize that we lost. I say I couldn't believe it because we had a great team of our own. And I'll have to say pitching probably made the difference.
1-2 to Guerrero. Didn't miss by much. Scioscia thought he had the strikeout. Now, the shot heard around the world, 1951, as we continue our conversation with Dodger pitching great, former Dodger pitching great Carl Erskine. Where were you when it left the park?
Say, I was in the bullpen.
Guerrero into the gap. Javier's got it. There's two down.
And the call came down to who was ready, Branca or Erskine. Clyde Sukeforth, our coach, answered. Charlie Dresden, the manager, said they're both ready, but Erskine's bouncing his curve. I had this overhand curveball that broke straight down, and I did bounce a couple. Probably maybe the best curveball I ever threw. I'm not sure after what happened.
Todd Zeile ready to face Valenzuela. So the call went to Branca.
Went to Branca. Ralph came in through a fastball strike and in the wrong place, but he had something on it. Thompson took it for a strike. Next one in the seats. And to this day, of course, I remember vividly what happened. in the clubhouse afterwards, because next door the Giants clubhouse was going crazy, in our clubhouse like a tomb. And I looked around. It was a piece of history. And I was glad to be there, but I was not glad to be in that quiet clubhouse.
It's interesting the way your mind's eye can recreate things like it happened yesterday. As you say, it's vivid in my memory. The expressions and the feelings.
No question. And you know what? I had kind of a sense of history about things because I just love being in the big leagues so much. I didn't want to miss anything. And I sensed this is one of the all-time moments. So I watched our team come in because I was one of the first in the clubhouse. And so I watched the rest of our team one by one come in, what they did. Dressen ripped his shirt off without unbuttoning it. Robinson fired his glove into his locker. And Branca slumped on the steps leading up to the trainer's room. I remember all that. I could see that big number 13 on Ralph's back. And even though I wasn't superstitious, I mean, that was a picture burned in my mind.
3-0 delivery to Zeal. Ground ball for Alfredo. And another 1-2-3 inning for Fernando Valenzuela. He has faced only one over the minimum. That runner reached on an error. He has been perfect so far besides that. Dodgers leading the Cardinals in the opener of the 3-game series 1-0. Bottom of the 4th inning. Joel Myers along with Ron Sain. We're honored to have with us in the booth tonight an all-time Dodger pitching great Carl Erskine of years gone by. Carl, you had the foresight many years ago with an 8mm camera to shoot some videos. 8mm down in Vero Beach.
This spring training years ago, Campanello's had a little trouble with the middle, and this is Charlie Dressen giving him the workout. Clem Labine clowning around, and there's my roomie, the Duke. Classic swing, a great player. And Pepper was always a part of getting ready for any game. That's Glenn Mickens, a minor league pitcher, and myself having a little fun. Well, those are great memories.
What was it like reading The Boys of Summer when you were actually one of the Boys of Summer?
Yeah. Roger Kahn confided in me all through the writing of that book. In fact, he almost gave up on the book. In New York one night at a dinner, he called me off to the side and asked me to help him decide whether he could finish it or not. I said, Roger, suppose you'd wake up tomorrow morning and find out Dick Young, who was another writer with Trelita. Suppose you wake up tomorrow and find out Dick Young had written your book. He went home and finished it.
1-1 count to Eddie Murray. Make it a ball and 2 strikes. 1955. The frustration comes to a conclusion.
It did.
Was that as close to utopia as you've ever felt as an athlete?
You know, we hoped for that, played for it so long, disappointed so many times, and had the whole borough of Brooklyn weeping with us every year we didn't win. And finally, when we won in Yankee Stadium, we went to the clubhouse, and honest to gosh, it was more like a period of reverence before the big celebration. We were so grateful that we finally accomplished this seemingly impossible task.
In awe of the moment?
Right. And there was a quiet period there just momentarily before the celebration really took off. I think we all just had almost a moment of gratitude that it all finally came together.
2-2 count to Eddie Murray. Dodgers leadoff man, the bottom of the 4th inning. Ebbets Field.
Duke Snyder and I were on our way home that year and got stopped by a police officer, a state trooper on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. He said, you guys were going 70 in a 60-mile zone. Let's see what happened with this bloop.
Looks like it should be, and it'll be an infield single for Eddie Murray. I'm ready for that police officer's
Anyway,
story.
he says, you guys were traveling too fast. I'm going to give you a warning ticket. Then, without us realizing he even recognized it, he said, by the way, I lost money on you guys again this year. I said, what? We won. He said, yeah, but I bet on you in 49, 52, 53. I said, nuts to you. I'm betting on the Yankees this year. So everybody was frustrated, but I tell you what, that moment is relived every year in Brooklyn by the faithful to a countdown to the very moment the Padres got the last out. So it's a big moment in Dodger history.
U.B. Brooks at the plate. Dodgers have the only 2 hits of the game. A 1-0 lead. Up the middle it goes. Doesn't find a hole. It'll turn into a double play. Ozzie Smith shading him to that side. And well, you were a part of Dodger history. When the Dodgers moved the first game at not at Dodger Stadium, but at the Coliseum in 1958. The winning pitcher of that game, Carl Erskine, worked the first 8 innings.
Right.
Giving up 10 hits, 4 earned runs, struck out 6, walked 4. Clem Labine came in for the final inning of work. Would you call that a gutty performance by Erskine?
I'll say so. I was toward the end of my career, and Walt Alston gave me the beautiful opportunity to start that historic game in the Coliseum. And I tell you, it was a struggle that day all the way around. We won the game 6-5, and it's often happened. I needed a little help toward the end. But get the win and be the first win in L.A. I didn't have too many records in baseball, but I don't think anybody can beat that one.
2 no-hitters isn't too shabby. Believe me. Mike Scioscia at the plate, 2 away. Carl, we've got to ask you to stick around. This last half inning has gone far too quickly. Do you have a little bit of time for 3 more outs, maybe?
I'm here till Monday, so.
Okay, you know, it sounds almost like Ernie Banks. Let's play 2. It's a 1-1 count to Mike Scioscia. I want to get into Ebbets Field because everybody we talk with, and our producer Jim Zrake, I mean, he swears by the Temple of Ebbets Field. It's almost a worship of the ballpark that so many loved. I bet you remember every little nook and cranny about it.
I really do, because again, I was a kid, awestruck by the whole scene, and loved every minute of it. I made friends with the special cops, with the ticket takers, the ushers. You know, that was all a part of that scene. And the old clubhouse, I visualize it now where my locker was, next to Campy, right across from Duke and Pee Wee. Yeah, I do remember that park, and it was an old park too.
Pop foul, should drift back into the seats. It does so.
And really not in a real good neighborhood, you know. It wasn't, and they had no parking around it. And it wouldn't be right to bring it back today. It just wouldn't fit. But the memory of it and things that happened there are just so burned in people's mind. There's almost a cult out there of people who have seen a game at Ebbets Field. And people write to me to this day, call me. There's an architect in Wisconsin calls me every once in a while. Carl, could you describe the rotunda to me? How high was it? What, you know, tell me about the marble columns.
Now, you say it wouldn't fit. Granted, it wouldn't fit. And I grew up going to Sportsman's Park. And there was Crosley Field. There was Forbes Field. There were some great old ballparks. But at the same time, wouldn't it be fun to have a high school championship game at Ebbets Field? And if the city could have supported it to the extent where they could have kept it up and maintained it, it would have been interesting.
Well, Wrigley Field has been preserved, and that in a sense captures that era to a degree.
Yes.
And so it does keep that era alive. And I think maybe that's why it has survived, because it's probably the last of that era's ballparks.
Juan Samuel takes the first one over the inside edge for strike 1. Now, they say the ball player in this day and age is far better conditioned, a much better athlete overall than the player from your era. But I don't remember any of the players of your era talking about rotator cuffs, or it seemed like all the starters got at least 200 innings in. We didn't have the era of specialty where you had a lot of people coming out of the bullpen and middlemen and short men. What about the ball player, the makeup of the ball player of your era?
No, I tell you what, it's tough to compare eras, to say they're better now or better then. But I think, number one, the one-year contract kept everybody pushing to play, to get in the lineup, and not to take time off. There were many more restrictions on the disabled list in the old days.
With a backstop, it goes. A long run for Zeal. Fortunately for him, it's Scioscia running the bases. And the Dodgers have a man in scoring position with a wild pitch. Are you essentially saying possibly then that the ball player of your era was a bit hungrier?
Well, he probably had to be, because of the way the structure was, the reserve clause. There was no chance to bid, get your services bid for. You played for the same club till they released you or sold you or traded you. Then also, we didn't have sports medicine that's known today. They didn't know what to do to a lot of injuries, especially pitching injuries. They just really didn't know what to do. And you couldn't afford to take 6 months off. Somebody'd have your job.
Right.
So all of that is such a different, it's hard to compare. And I admire players of today. I think they got other hard things to carry. The schedule's tough. They fly all the time. They don't get to bed. There's no, the rest patterns are broken up, the time change. There's a lot of different things that players contend with today that we really didn't contend with. So I think comparing eras is real difficult. Only thing I can tell you is I feel like I could pitch today if I were 25 years old. I think Valenzuela and Hershiser and the good pitchers of today would have won in my day.
It's tight to Samuel, and it's a full count to the Dodgers second baseman. So the talent level is very, very similar then.
I think pitching, which I watch closer obviously than most,
yes,
with the strike zone being smaller today, no question about that. I think pitchers have to be really inventive, and they've come up with specialty pitches that we didn't have, or at least use very often. Parks are bigger. It's easier to pitch from that standpoint. I love to pitch in this park. 360, 330 down the line. It was 296 down the line at Evans Field. It was 318 to right center, where it's 370 here.
318.
318 in the power alley in left field.
How would you compare the foul territory in Ebbets Field to Dodger Stadium's foul territory as we continue our conversation with
Our
Carl
foul
Erskine?
territory was about where the skin part is on this infield. It was quite narrow, and the stands were real close to the field. There were hardly any foul balls caught down either line. It was real tight.
Alfredo Griffin with an opportunity to give the Dodgers another run. They lead it by 1. Fastball called strike with Valenzuela on deck.
Juan Samuel has walked twice already in this game.
That's news in itself.
Yes, it is. That's big news. Carl, was there you've obviously had a number of things happen to you that were outstanding through your career. Any one or two or three things that really set out the most in that?
Well, you know, I started the opening game of the World Series in '53 after I was 20-6 during the regular season and led the league. And man, I was rolling, feeling good, and I had a terrible first inning in the opening game. Didn't pitch very long, had to be taken out. The biggest disappointment of my life. But Dressen brought me back with 1 day's rest. He brought me back in the third game, and I was so determined that I wouldn't have a bad first inning that I had 9 of the best innings I ever had in my life, and ended up with a strikeout record, 14 against a tough Yankee ball club, and won the game on Campy's homer in the 8th. That probably stands out to me, being a World Series performance and coming off of a big disappointment. That stood out in my mind, I think, probably as the single moment in my career.
How about your favorite team?
You mean my favorite team now?
No, your favorite team that you used to play on. One that you felt...
Oh, you mean of the years?
Yeah.
Well, I thought in '52 and '53, we had teams that absolutely dominated the National League, but we did not win the World Series. The team in '55, most of the guys on the club felt like was not maybe as good a ball club overall, but gee, we got out of the box so fast. We dominated the league, led by 10 games practically the whole season, and then did win in 7 games in the World Series. But my favorite team probably would be 1953. That was the first year Jim Gilliam was up. We still had Jackie, and of course Campy and Hodges, Reese, Ferrillo. That's probably my pick.
And again, you were talking about in '53 against the Yankees, the 14 strikeouts. That was a record, and it stood for 10 years until Sandy Koufax broke it. It was eventually broken later by Bob Gibson,
right.
St. Louis Cardinals.
My son Gary's with me. When we left L.A., he was 9 years old. This is the first time he's been back. He's pushing 40. And he told me when I got home in the series, he was a good friend of Sandy's. Sandy used to kid him a lot in the clubhouse. And Gary came to me when I came home. Oh, we're going to get one. We're going to get one.
Liner, McGee's there, though. Well, we're going to get one from you because you're sticking around. You're not going anywhere, Carl Erskine. It's great to be talking with the former Dodger great. We'll be right back with the Dodgers still leading by 1. Earlier tonight, the Dodgers continuing to honor in the centennial celebration a former great. Tonight, Sandy Amoros. And who could forget his catch? 7th game of the 1955 World Series. Johnny Padres on the mound. Yogi Berra at the plate. And what a catch it was. And another look.
The throw. Look at this.
For Carl Erskine. They doubled up. Was it Gil McDougall over at first?
Gil McDougall, right. And, you know, Jackie didn't play that game. He was hurt. And Don Hoke played third. And I always felt that Hoke told Reese where to go with the ball. Nobody ever said that, but he had to because Reese had his back to the play.
Joining us in the booth tonight, Carl Erskine, former Dodger great. And Carl's going to stick around now. 1955 World Series, a lot of memories. The 7th game, though, was that the biggest play?
That was the play. That turned the whole thing around, and it was the first time that we had what I'd call a real break go our way. It seemed like the ball always bounced funny for us, and a great move by Alston to put Ambrose in just the inning earlier.
And he brought in Jimmy Gilliam over to second base.
Right. So that was a master stroke right there.
Terry Pendleton, former Fresno State product, starts it off with the Cardinals. Did he go around? No. 2-0 count.
Fernando is quietly walking into the 5th, Joel, with a no-hitter.
He's stingy.
He is tonight.
It would be perfect, except for an error by the left fielder, Kirk Gibson, back in the 1st. This should stay in play for Eddie Murray. And he can't come up with it. Overran it a little bit as it tailed back towards the infield. So another life for Pendleton.
Certainly a catchable ball, even though Eddie Murray has a long ways to go for it. Juan Samuel, usually that's a ball that the middle infielder calls the first baseman off of. Much easier play for that middle infielder to get over and make that play.
Pushed down the same way. Out of the reach of right fielder Hubie Brooks. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Carl makes his home now and has for some time in Anderson, Indiana. Now, is that fairly close to Indianapolis? Or?
Yeah, but 30 miles or so northeast. And I was born and raised there. Never ever left there, really. Went there always in the off season. So I lived there. My wife and I were in high school together. Got married. She went through the whole thing with me in baseball. So we're very well rooted in Anderson, Indiana.
2-2 to Pendleton. Lenny Harris. And there's one away. A no-hitter in 52. A no-hitter in 56. When you go out on the mound, do you feel like you have that kind of stuff on certain nights?
No, you really don't. You really go inning at a time. And the first thing you want to do is to get some runs. and then you know you got a chance if you can hold them. The no-hitter thing's it's almost a freak situation sometimes. But
Lenny Harris again. And I bring it up, of course, because Fernando now has gone 4 2/3 without giving up a base hit, and a lot of help there on a nice play by third baseman Lenny Harris.
Fernando hasn't been much of a ground ball pitcher during this ball game, but 2 in a row down to Lenny Harris, and the first 2 Cardinals are down in order. Must be taking a tip from former teammate Dave Stewart. Pitched a no-hitter tonight in Toronto.
Rex Hudler hits, base is empty, 2 away. Good off-speed delivery by Valenzuela. We look forward to Sunday afternoon's contest, the Equitable Old Timers game. Are you slated for about 6-7 innings, Carl?
I looked at that roster. There must be 90 or some players here. I got an idea it's going to be tough to put a lineup together. We may be out there for 1 pitch at a time.
Could be 3 pitches per pitcher with all the guys you got to get in the game, Carl.
You know, I hope we have a good crowd early, because I think the Equitable game starts around noon, 12:15 maybe. But there's a lot of fun early with batting practice, the old timers, and they can get fans can get down close and talk to some of them, get a few autographs early.
0-2 delivery to Hudler. And Valenzuela has still not allowed a hit through 5. Carl, thank you so much. It was truly an honor to have you up here tonight.
My pleasure.
Carl Erskine at the ballpark, and don't forget about the All-Star game on Sunday. Welcome back once again to Dodger Stadium. Well, the bad news from the last road trip, the Dodgers did not score a lot of runs so far this evening. The good news, they don't need a lot of runs. Fernando's been phenomenal.
Well, what we said at the top of the show is that in similarity, these two pitchers have been very inconsistent. High earned run averages. Tonight, Fernando, no runs, no hits through 5. De Leon's only given up 1.
Well, of course, now the Dodgers need to put together some offense as they get ready to hit in the bottom of the 5th inning. So Fernando has some insurance with which to work with. Dodgers with a run on 3 hits. As the gentleman we're talking about, Fernando Valenzuela, leads it off. Dodgers trying to get back to the 500 mark over the 3-game set with the Cardinals. Seems like whenever the Dodgers come home, everything that was a problem earlier has turned around. And we saw at the last homestand, they've had a couple of road trips, 1-5, 1-7, but all of a sudden they come back to the stadium and they're a different team. They're 21-15 at home, while they're 8 games under the 500 mark on the road.
And very difficult for the players to figure that out too. It's just not, it just does not make much sense. You come home to a ballpark that, yes, it is a ballpark that you play in more, you know a little bit more about it, but still, you have to go out and compete on the road. The Dodgers just have not been a very good road club, and now they come back to Dodger Stadium hoping to get on another winning streak.
Tommy Lasorda needs so much from Kirk Gibson for it to be a successful season. Right now talking about the deliveries of Jose De Leon. That was a great shot, wasn't it? Thank you, Kirk. Fernando trying to add to his lead with 1 swing. Becomes a 4th strikeout victim of De Leon. He's got his hat back.
Lenny Harris.
Now he's got a bat. Tommy better really watch out.
It's the subject matter of a lot of talk about moving back to the state of Michigan, his homeland, and possibly performing in the American League again. But the Dodgers have to be thinking about what's best for them right now too.
Did Lenny Harris ever turn on that one? Went down to get the De Leon offering. And Harris now 2 for 3.
Lenny Harris takes this low pitch down in the strike zone, drives it hard for his 2nd base hit into right field. Now we got Stan Javier coming up. Presents a problem for the St. Louis defense. Pendleton in even with the bag at 3rd. Possible bunting situation. Good contact hitter with speed on at 1st.
Stan has hit better than 400 over the last 16 games. It gets away from Zeal. Harris with a big turn. He'll try to go to 3rd. He'll make it easily. Forget about the sacrifice now by Javier. That will be the 2nd wild pitch of the evening by De Leon. Tough chance for Zeal.
Pitch that gets away well in front of the catcher. Zeal bounces all the way over to the on-deck circle on the dirt in front of the Dodger dugout. And Lenny Harris with real great speed makes it easy without even a throw from Todd Zeal. Neither club really has had an opportunity to be very aggressive with such a well-pitched game on both sides. And now the Dodgers an opportunity to go 2 runs up with Stan Javier at the plate.
And they'd love to see another sacrifice from Javier, but not a sacrifice bunt. They need a fly ball deep enough in the outfield.
Infield is playing in.
They'll want to know he is going to bunt. The squeeze is on. It's back to De Leon. Only 1 play, and the Dodgers get another run. Well, they've done it so often, and they have been successful on a number of occasions this year. That did not appear to be the all-out suicide squeeze, though.
Well, this is just another asset that Stan Javier has. He knows in a squeeze situation, all you want to do is get the ball down toward the pitcher. Lenny Harris, with his speed, scores easily, and the Dodgers go 2 up. But just a great piece of bunting here by Stan Javier. Handles the bat extremely well. Just gets the ball down in fair territory. De Leon has no other place to go but to retire Javier at 1st base.
Now Harris waited till there was contact before he really broke for the plate. Gibson gets into it, but gets under it too much. And that is the final out of the inning. But the Dodgers come up with that all-important run. They capitalize with a man at third and less than 2 away. Stan Javier comes through, and the Dodgers lead it by 2. Beautiful night on the warm side. And great that it's summertime and the kids can stay up late and make it out to the ballpark anytime they want now. Good crowd. Ozzie Smith leads it off for the Cardinals. Takes the big looping breaking ball for strike 1. Smith, De Leon, and Vince Coleman coming up for St. Louis. And many thanks to Carl Erskine for joining us in the booth for a little better than an inning, talking about old times, great moments in Dodger history. And we may be watching tonight another great moment in Dodger history. Fernando Valenzuela exactly 2-1 in balls and strikes on the positive side. So far through 5, he has not allowed a St. Louis hit. Ball and 2 strikes.
Fernando's done an excellent job of being able to jump out in front of just about every count to each hitter, and certainly hasn't given the Cardinals any room.
Could be trouble. Gibson on the move, has it.
Just a little looper hit into the short left field. Gibson on the run makes the play plenty of time very easily, but getting back to Fernando, he just hasn't given the Cardinals an opportunity to get anything started. You know, you look at all their offensive statistics and you can understand why they're struggling, but he's just pitched that well tonight.
When do they start thinking about it? Here we are with 1 away in the top of the 6th inning. De Leon to the plate. It's fisted foul and back out of play. When does that burden of responsibility start to fall on the infielders and the outfielders? Like, I don't want it to get by me.
I think it's there. It's always there until it goes away. So as it gets closer and closer to becoming a reality, there's different philosophies about how you want to go about it. I remember the no-hitter that Jerry Royce threw up in San Francisco, and going into the last out, when I threw the ball that was coming around the infield back to Jerry Royce, I said, how bad do you really want this?
Valenzuela's got it. 2 down.
And other people would say, geez, don't say anything to them. Just let them be in their own world and let them deal with it. De Leon, not a good hitter, just hits an off-speed pitch off home plate. Fernando going towards the line, takes it himself.
If it gets by Fernando, though, then it's an interesting play. And it could be a very close play.
Didn't think they had enough steam on that little roller to get by him, but he got over there in plenty of time. But getting back to how players deal with a pitcher who is into the 5th, 6th, 7th inning or wherever it may be and has a no-hitter, some people just stay away from him on the bench. You talked about the personality of De Leon in the clubhouse before the ball game. Here's a guy who likes to talk and mingle and socialize before the game, so you never really know what a player's personality is going to be.
One of the few that got away from Fernando tonight to Vince Coleman, and it's 1-0. Baseball players are probably the least superstitious of all professional athletes. I know that.
Yeah, that's for sure. They put their gloves, their shoes, their everything that they do. They carry their bats out to put them in the same place. They put the gloves down in the dugout the same place. Go out to their position defensively the same way. And of course, when you're struggling, then you try to change things around a little bit. But if things are going okay, then they do the same things repetitiously over and over, day in and day out.
We saw Fernando in the last homestand on Sports Channel. Didn't get the complete game, but did get the win. He had a great screwball that night, but it is nothing compared to the screwball he's operating with so far this evening. Ball and 2 strikes.
And he's getting that pitch that is a borderline strike. And a hitter, especially when you're facing Valenzuela and you get a fastball to swing at, got to take advantage of it. But he's getting now that outer black part of the plate, they call. Makes
Last
it
start
extremely difficult
for Fernando at home was a 5-1 win over the Astros right here on Sports Channel, where he worked the first 7, giving up 4 hits, only 1 earned run. And Coleman fouls it away. Reaching after one low and away. Top of the 6th, Dodgers with a 2-run lead. And Valenzuela still has yet to allow a base hit. That error was committed by Kirk Gibson, giving the Cardinals their only base runner back in the 1st. The 1-2. Socia ready to appeal. It doesn't work, and it's 2-2.
And that last pitch that got into the dirt was one of his real hard screwballs. Usually he's been changing speeds of that, making it a little bit softer pitch, which allows now the hitter to possibly extend and jump out at it. But that one there was very tough to lay off because it had such a hard break right at the end.
Coleman calling time with the 2-2 count. And I would think there's some pressure on the opposition too once you're rolling into the 6th, 7th inning. Shot just fouled. Wide of the third base bag.
Fernando shook off a screwball, came back with a cut fastball on the inner half, and that just about broke it up. He won't come back with that one again.
He's making his 16th start of the season. 18 games over the 500 mark lifetime at Dodger Stadium. 2-2. And Coleman fooled, but still Vince got a piece of it.
The thing that is very much of a pleasant surprise tonight is that Fernando, now that was his curveball. He's throwing all of his pitches all over the plate, and even the pitches that are just missing are right there in a zone that's very tough for the hitter to lay off. And of course, when a pitcher is around the plate, he's going to get more pitches called for strikes.
He's got Coleman. Another strikeout from Fernando. And the no-hitter is still alive through 6 innings. We go to the bottom of the 6th. The Dodgers still lead by 2. Big story right there. Chris Gwynn talking it over with Fernando Valenzuela. He says, wait a minute, Chris, you didn't talk to me over the first 5 or 6. Don't talk to me now. Eddie Murray will lead it off for the Dodgers in the bottom of the 6th. Los Angeles leading by 2. It'll be Murray, Brooks, and Socia. Breaking ball fouled for strike 1.
I think with Fernando's experience, that's not going to bother him one bit about them talking about it in the dugout. He seems to be so relaxed and throwing so easy and free that he's right on his game, regardless of whether he gets the no-hitter. Certainly is pitching an outstanding game.
Often you'll see, though, in the dugout, when a pitcher goes into the 7th, 8th, and he's still got that no-hitter working, everybody will stay away from him. De Leon on most nights has pitched very well, admirably, giving up only 2 runs on 4 hits. But the Cardinals this year have really had problems scoring runs. And tonight they can't do a thing against Fernando as Eddie Murray pops it foul back here. He's in the hole of the ball in 2 strikes. So the Reds have already lost. The Giants are winning. The Padres also have a lead. And the Dodgers on top of the Cardinals by 2.
This ball game could very well be 0-0 if it hadn't been for a couple of Cardinal mistakes that led to both of the Dodger runs in the 1st and the 5th. One a wild pitch that allowed Harris to move up 2 bases. Another a throwing error on a bunt by Javier. Went into right field off the arm of Todd Zeile. This ball game could be 0-0. Dodgers capitalizing on continued Cardinal mistakes.
Three and 2 count now to Murray. Cardinals, believe it or not, are a better team on the road than at home. Cardinals at 14 and 18 away from Busch Stadium. In St. Louis, though, they're only 16 and 25.
And that's real hard to understand because that ballpark is tailor-made for their talent, and it just hasn't lived up to the billing.
The 3-2. High fly ball for center fielder Willie McGee. That becomes the first out of the inning. So Fernando
Brooks, right field.
9 outs away. And tossing a no-hitter. There's one away in the bottom of the 6th.
And those are a long 9 outs too.
The next half inning, he's got to deal with the heart of the Cardinals batting order: McGee, Guerrero, and Zeal. Fastball stays upstairs. 1-0 to Brooks. Socha on deck. It's turned on by Brooks. It's deep down the left field line, and it stays fair. It's gone. The first home run in the last 48 at-bats for Hubie Brooks, dating all the way back to the 9th of June. And the Dodgers have another, leading 3-0.
Hubie Brooks with his second RBI in tonight. One similar pitch that he got back in the first inning on a sacrifice fly. Takes this sweeping breaking ball. It stays there right for him, and it's a home run down the left field line.
I think it was only a question of whether it was going to curve foul on him.
No doubt about it.
Mike Socha stands in with one away and takes strike one.
We really haven't seen too many off-speed forkballs from De Leon, which means that he probably is not having a great deal of confidence with it. He's staying now with that flat slider, that slow sweeping breaking ball that gives a hitter plenty of time to adjust. And of course his fastball has been up.
And 2, so ball and 2 strikes.
I mentioned earlier a few innings ago that I did not feel that De Leon was that sharp with his pitches tonight. And the amazing thing of it is that with relative to that last pitch that was hit for a home run, we could have been in a scoreless tie. So he's pitching a very gutty game tonight.
One hopper for Ozzie Smith. Across to Guerrero. That's the second out here in the 6th. It has not hurt De Leon that the Dodgers are coming off a road trip where they did not have a lot of success at the plate.
Second base.
For the month of June, to take it a bit further, the Dodgers only hitting .234. So the Dodger everyday 8 has had problems manufacturing runs.
And when you compound that with the fact the Dodgers moved to a 4-man rotation, more pressure now being put on the starters, who have been, for the most part, pretty inconsistent. If you were going to tell Tom Lasorda that he was going to have a lot of pitching problems this year with the talent that he felt he had on the club, he would have been extremely surprised to hear that one. But the Dodgers still searching for that 5th man in the rotation. Don't really know where they're going to get it, whether or not the trade of a Gibson would produce that 5th starter, but certainly the Dodgers feel it a necessity to get that 5th starter somewhere.
A 2-0 to Samuel. Pop foul up to the right side. Long run for Guerrero, but he's got room, and he drops it. So a new life for Juan Samuel.
With Guerrero's knees being a problem, certainly doesn't get over there very well anymore. Has plenty of time to make the catch, but the ball just hits right in his glove and pops out.
So far, it has not been a happy 34th birthday for Pedro Guerrero. His Cardinals are down by 3. 2-2 count now to Samuel. He's walked twice tonight, and it is a rare occasion when Samuel picks up 2 walks in the same game, let alone the same week.
Well, it's a good sign.
It's a great sign.
We just hope that certainly he can make the most of that opportunity of getting on base.
Chop foul. It stays 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 away, and the base is empty.
All the errors tonight, physical errors, have been of the routine nature. Right there for you to catch, and they're just not making the plays. It is usually a sign that your concentration level is not as high as it should be.
Threw it right by Samuel. Juan goes down swinging, and that is 5 strikeouts now for De Leon. It's back to the mound for Valenzuela. He's yet to give up a hit through 6. The Angels win it on the road, beating the Indians. As we look at the Nissan American League scoreboard, the Angels by 5. Jim Abbott, a 5-6 record now. Devon White with 2 home runs, his 6th and 7th. Maybe that'll mark the return of Devo on an offensive tear. Wouldn't that be nice for the California Angels? Chicago won their 8th straight. Bobby Thigpen, what a year it's been. 26 saves already with a 1-0 win over the Yankees. Dave Stewart throwing his first career no-hitter. The A's blank the Jays at the Skydome. Stewart has really had his problems over the last 2-3 weeks, but not tonight. 10-6 now. In the 6th inning at Seattle, Ron Robinson and Randy Johnson in a matchup. Pitchers duel so far with the Brewers up by a run on the Mariners. Other scores in the American League: Baltimore has defeated Minnesota. Alan Anderson, the losing pitcher, 2-11. Mike Devereaux with a couple of hits. Texas trailing Boston at Fenway in the 6th after a 2-hour and 23-minute rain delay. And finally, the Royals edging the Tigers. Bo Jackson with the game-winning hit. So much speculation that Jackson and Davis on their way to San Diego in a deal with the Royals.
It's news to Jack McKeon.
With Joe Carter coming to Kansas City. Willie McGee leads it off for the Cardinals. Rally caps. You think they want a no-hitter thrown at them tonight? That's what I was referring to. The pressure has to be on the opposition as well.
They would love for Fernando to take a peek over in their dugout about right now.
This was just passed along the truck and our producer Jim's rake. In the history of baseball, we may be sitting in on a big one. There's never been 2 no-hitters thrown on the same day. Stewart has already recorded his in the A's 5-0 win over the Jays. Valenzuela has a 3-0 lead over the Cardinals as McGee taps it foul, and it's a ball and 2 strikes.
This is the part of the order for the St. Louis Cardinals that in order for them to not only break up the no-hitter but to get back in the ball game is very important. Leading off with McGee and going to the power that they do have in tonight's lineup. So this is an opportunity now for the Cardinals to strike back.
McGee struck out, hit the ball hard, a liner into the hole, backhanded by Griffin. Long throw in time.
Good 2-strike pitch by Fernando, hit hard to the backhand of Alfredo Griffin. Comes up, makes a strong throw, and retires a speedy Willie McGee. Good solid contact in the hole. Griffin, plenty of time, and throws out the first Cardinal runner in here in the top of the 7th.
That'll bring up Pedro Guerrero, who's had so much success against the Dodgers since he went to St. Louis in the John Tudor deal. Down and in is set up by Mike Scioscia. I thought maybe they'd start with a screwball over the outside edge. Better than a 400 average for against Valenzuela for Guerrero.
And as we mentioned, one of the 2 Cardinals in the lineup that has hit Fernando well during their career. The other one being Jose Oquendo.
Fernando has not issued a walk, but the Cardinals have had 1 base runner. He's back in the 1st on an error by left fielder Kirk Gibson. The 2-0. Missed it fouling out of play. 2 balls and a strike.
Got to be very impressed if you're watching this ball game at home tonight with the pitch selection and location by Fernando Valenzuela. Guerrero, usually a hitter that can turn on that pitch, but that ball, good cut fastball in on his hands.
It has been rare tonight when Valenzuela has even been behind on the count. Now it's 3-1 to Guerrero.
Another confidence builder for him. Been inconsistent. Had some well-pitched games and certainly has met the challenge tonight.
Got Guerrero to go after one that was out of the strike zone, and it's 3-2. This is only the second 3-ball count issued by Valenzuela this evening.
I don't believe Fernando's going to give in to him here.
In the dirt for ball 4. So the Cardinals have their first base runner since the first inning. Five strikeouts so far by Fernando without allowing a hit.
Zeal, catcher.
Now he gives up his first free pass.
And you say the reason why he does not want to give in to Guerrero, well, he's had very good career numbers against Fernando, even though they are in limited number of at-bats. Situation here where he has something on the line, does not want to go ahead and feed him a pitch to hit that might break up something that he could regret. Rather take his chances with Todd Zeal here and set up a double play possibility. Dodgers with a 3-run lead.
Zeal hitting the ball hard back in the first, right at the center fielder, grinding out to the shortstop. He's only grounded into 2 double plays so far this season. That is the fewest by a Cardinal regular. That's what the Dodgers are hoping for right now, a double play depth. Good stop by Socha. And it's 2-0. Now maybe Fernando, as Socha calls time, is trying to be too fine.
I wouldn't say that it's now a part of concern on the Dodger management. Fernando has not made that many pitches, really has done an excellent job so far in this ball game with 1 out here in the 7th inning. Doesn't seem to be struggling at all. Just trying to get players to swing at pitches they had previously been swinging at.
Down the middle, and it's 2-1. 1 away. Guerrero over at first. Valenzuela has now thrown 94 pitches. So he works on the top of the 7th with 1 away. Guerrero with a very short lead over at first. Last start for Fernando. 5 1/3 against the Reds. He failed to hold on to a lead. The Dodgers lost the game 10-6. Valenzuela giving up 8 of those 10 runs. Three and 1 count. The Cardinal catcher, Terry Pendleton, on deck. Seemed like when things were going well over the first 6 innings, it was the screwball over the outside portion of the plate. Now they're looking towards going inside of the right-handed hitter far more frequently than we saw earlier.
He feels very confident with his cut fastball, and he has made some very good pitches on the inner half.
Zeal held up in time. So Valenzuela did not walk a batter over the first 6 1/3. Still has the no-hitter going, but he's walked 2 in a row, and a man is in scoring position now for St. Louis.
This is not a position he really wanted to get into. He's still protecting the no-hitter, but now what he has done is bring a player to the plate that represents the tying run who can occasionally hit the ball out of the ballpark. So it's creating a problem that Fernando hoped that he wouldn't have to face.
Terry Pendleton has 44 RBIs on the season. That is second best on the Cardinals, behind Guerrero's 47. Misses again. So he walked Guerrero on a 3-2 pitch. Walked Zeal on a 3-1 delivery. And now another out of the strike zone. The Cardinal third baseman. Pendleton lifts it deep to left. Gibson going back to the track. That's the second out. As Guerrero tags and advances. It seemed like everybody caught their breath at the same time at Dodger Stadium when it left the bat.
Pendleton just got out a little too early on that pitch. Ball hit down near the end, which made it die out there, but a little better pitch than Fernando wanted to give him. If he could have stayed back a little bit better, he might have hit that ball out.
Fernando an out away, getting out of the inning with runners at the corners. And Jose Aquindo at the plate.
Good solid contact hitter who has had good success against Fernando. This will be just another challenge here to see if he can protect that no-hitter.
Hard hit ball to the third baseman. Lenny Harris gobbles it up. And the no-hitter continues. Fernando has set the Cardinals down once again despite giving up 2 walks. It's 7th inning stretch time. On this date in Dodger history, the 29th of June, back in 1923, Jack Fournier, 6 hits and 6 at-bats. Dodgers win over the Phillies. He became the second Dodger to accumulate 6 hits in a game. Willie Davis, the most recent, the 6th to do that. And also on this date in Dodger history, you gotta love those sideburns on Mike Marshall. 1974, the Dodgers right-handers had a major league record, appearing in 10 consecutive games. The Dodgers beat the Giants. He eventually went on to appear in 13 straight, a record that still stands. It was tied in '86 by Dale Mahorsic of Texas. Mike also set a major league record, appearing in 106 games back in '74, 106. Fortunately, that was not the temperature in Los Angeles today, as Alfredo Griffin leads it off, taking ball 1 from Jose De Leon.
That picture of Mike Marshall reminds me of the game Sunday, the Old Timers game. Believe me, he comes to get people out still. He is here to play.
But he's not intense at this stage of his career.
Oh, I think he just relaxes, goes right into it.
There's Fernando working on the no-hitter, only 6 outs away. Fouled straight back here.
Nothing like Bob Feller. Not an intense guy when he gets out there.
Have you ever seen a brushback pitch in an old-timers game? We may on Sunday. Did Griffin go around? No, it's a 3-1 count. Valenzuela on deck to be followed by Lenny Harris. Well, when you look at those 2 walks, what they did to Fernando more than anything else is now he's still going to have to face the top third, the entire top third of the Cardinals lineup. That's Coleman, McGee, and Guerrero once again.
That's right. Once they get back to that part of the lineup, which will be at the 9th, he'll have to face those people, possibly with men on base, which is not something he really wants to get to. But
Todd Zeal took the brunt of that last one.
oh boy, that's a nice one. Just hit him flush right on the left kneecap. Not a glancing blow either, just right there. Hello.
So I feel like the trainer was already out and he sprayed you, but you didn't know about it with that.
You know when you go to the doctor and they check your reflexes with those little things? It's like a sledgehammer going right into the top of your kneecap.
3-2 to Alfredo. Popped up behind first for Guerrero. And in foul territory, Pete puts it away for the first out of the inning. There will be quite an ovation coming up for Valenzuela.
Valenzuela, pitcher.
It is rare when you get to sit in on a pitcher who's been throwing 7 no-hit innings. And it's been a treat so far this evening at Dodger Stadium. Fernando started the night with a .345 average as Ricky Horton starts to toss in the Cardinal bullpen. Former Dodger to Cardinal before he came all the way back. He had been with the White Sox as well. It's fouled back, and it's 1-1. Fernando's got a 3-run lead. And more importantly, working on that no-hitter through 7. Off the end of the bat, it'll drop in for a base hit. Is that what he really needed, to run the bases?
Well, it must be his night. Does not hit this ball well. Right off the end of the bat, outer half of the plate. It's a flare over short and into short left field for a base hit. Back to the top of the lineup for the Dodgers.
Been a great night for Lenny Harris. 2 for 3. Hit the ball hard both the first and 5th innings. Solid singles to right. Bats now with 1 away in the bottom of the 7th. Fouling it off to the right side. Should find the stands.
It's a pitch you'd like to have back. That was a breaking ball. Middle of the plate, about belt high. Just got out a little too quick. De Leon seems to have abandoned completely his fourth ball.
Great success early in the contest with the breaking ball, keeping it away from the left-handed hitters over the outside edge. That's where Zeal is setting up right now. Grounder through the hole, into right for a base hit. Runners at first and second now. The 3rd hit of the night for Lenny Harris. And he's back over the 300 mark.
Lenny Harris stays hot with his 3rd base hit, taking that pitch on the outer half, driving it through the hole on the right side. Fernando down to second, 1 base at a time here. Lenny Harris, 3 hits tonight, 7 hits for the Dodgers in total. Stan Javier stands in.
Couple of sacrifices, the last one an RBI bunt. Bringing home the Dodgers' 2nd run of the contest. The 3rd was to follow in the next inning on the 10th home run of the year by Hubie Brooks. It's a 3-0 Dodger lead as they look for more now. McGee shading the left-handed Javier. The left center, so a huge hole if he could put it in the gap in right center.
Stan Javier takes one with him down the line at first base. He can almost walk there. Guerrero is playing well back. Oquendo shading Javier up the middle. And De Leon does not do a very good job of getting off the mound. So if he decides to drag bunt and take one with him, high degree of success possibility.
Loops one up the middle, long run for McGee. He's got it. Trying for the double play. Nobody's covering first. Guerrero off the bag. And runners advancing to 2nd and 3rd. On the 3rd error of the evening by St. Louis, it belongs to the center fielder.
Stan Javier hits this ball off the end of the bat. Guerrero, thinking that there might be a base hit and would be the cutoff man at home plate. McGee now throwing behind the runner with Guerrero near the mound. There's no one there. Another mistake made by the Cardinal defense.
Now it's a mental mistake by Willie McGee. Is it a physical mistake, though, by Pete Guerrero to go that far off the bag?
He has to be the cutoff man if there is a base hit into center field, because they have a runner that's going also from first, possibly down to second and over to third, which means now you have to have a third baseman stay at his position. Guerrero thinking the ball might fall in, breaks towards home plate. McGee with the shoestring catch, throws on the run without really picking up Guerrero. More of a fault of McGee than Guerrero.
Gibson 0 for 3, takes ball 1. Dodgers lead it by 3. Base hit could easily play 2 more with great speed down at second in the presence of Lenny Harris. Kirk started the night at 196. He's now 1 for his last 6. He's coming back into the lineup.
Gibson with another opportunity to drive in 2 runs. The first one occurred back in the first.
Nasty breaking ball by De Leon. And it's 1-1.
De Leon did not forget what he got Kirk Gibson out back in that first inning. Same circumstances, runners at second and third, but now 2 outs rather than none.
Fastball over the outside edge. Ball and 2 strikes. Gibson didn't like the call. De Leon trying to pick up his 6th strikeout to bail him out of a 7th inning jam. Runners at second and third.
Gotta come football. Something off speed. He's heading way out in front of just about everything that he's thrown there.
1-2 is a fastball, and Gibson makes him pay dearly. That's 2 more for the Dodgers. And they now lead it 5-0. Fastball over the inside portion of the plate. Gibson turns and golfs it into right field.
This is a case where a guy just gets a little too cocky. He's got pitches that he's gotten him out with. Now what does he throw him? A fastball right there for him to deliver. And he does, a 2-run single. Amazing.
Valenzuela as well as Lenny Harris.
Once again, the Dodgers capitalize on another mistake made by the Cardinals. Got to give Gibson credit, but that's definitely a mistake by De Leon.
Eddie Murray going after the first one, another base hit. That is the 4th hit in the inning for the Dodgers. De Leon, starting the 7th inning, put together a pretty productive night, giving up only 3 runs on 5 hits. Things have begun to disintegrate. We saw Ricky Horton warming up in the Cardinal bullpen earlier. He continues to throw.
The Dodgers continuing, hoping to continue to add to their 5-0 lead here. Certainly more breathing room for the pitching staff and Fernando to get that 4th and 5th run. But now, of course, the focus goes back to Fernando on the mound in the 8th with a no-hitter.
It's back to the screen again. The runners at second and third. That was a major league curveball. Fortunately, Zeal didn't know it was coming.
That's about as wild as you get. How do you describe that one?
3rd wild pitch of the night by Jose De Leon. Runners in scoring position for the Dodgers at second and third. They lead it by 5 already. Now, Valenzuela obviously pleased with more room with which to work with, but at the same time, the Cardinals are ready to make a move. You've got to start to be thinking about breaking Valenzuela's rhythm. Craig Wilson into the game already to second base for Oquendo. So the Cardinals are making a double switch. So their pitcher is due to hit 3rd in the 8th. So De Leon did a good job through 6. But it all collapsed on the Cardinal right-hander here in the 7th. And the former Dodger left-hander Ricky Horton is ready to take over for St. Louis as we come back to Dodger Stadium. Everything in control by Los Angeles now. So we'll be right back. Familiar face to Dodger fans, left-hander Ricky Horton in his 24th game of the year with a 5.46 ERA.
Well, what do you think they're going to do here, Joel? First base open, left-hander facing right-hander, left-hander on deck.
Ron, you make the call, and we'll be right back after this break for
Let our viewers. Well, geez, how difficult was that?
So Ricky Horton is in to pad his walk stats.
You know, here's one thing that I do not like, and even though Whitey is considered probably the premier manager in the National League, I do not like to see the guy who comes out of the bullpen issue the intentional walk. What he wants to do is he's concentrated now down in the bullpen on coming out and making good pitches right away. Now what does he do? He plays soft toss with the catcher for 4 pitches, and now he's got to try and get that back.
Catcher, Mike.
I wish you wouldn't hedge on the issue. So the intentional pass by Horton. And now it's lefty against lefty. Mike Scioscia coming up for the Dodgers with the bases loaded.
De Leon is leaving the game anyway. Why not issue the pass and bring in the reliever? That way he's already ready to go.
Scioscia's got 8 home runs already this year after hitting 10 all of last season. Dodgers have been an outstanding team in this situation. They have been hitting at nearly a 400 clip with the bases loaded. Chop foul, and it's even to the ball on a strike. And Scioscia has been one of their biggest clutch hitters all year long, but this is not exactly a tense situation with a 5-run lead.
This is added confidence time. Another base hit, a couple more RBIs. This gives you a better feeling as to having the ability to get those hits with runners in scoring position.
Cued off the end of the bat. We'll find out in just a little bit what kind of effect a 15 or 20 minute half inning by the Dodgers offensively does to the rhythm and the continuity of Fernando Valenzuela. Valenzuela has never even thrown a 1-hitter. In his career, he has had 7 2-hitters. You've just joined us. Fernando working on a no-hitter through 7. He's only 6 outs away from his first career no-hitter. Over the outside edge, Scioscia is punched out of there. So the Dodgers leave the bases loaded, but they've got 5 on the board at the end of 7. We'll be right back to see if Fernando can continue with his no-hit bid.
Round trip for 2.
The line score for the Dodgers looks impressive on both sides. Not only the bottom half, but the top half as well. When you look at runs and hits, it's Fernando Valenzuela working on a no-hitter through 7. And in Dodger history, there have been 18 no-hitters, 12 when they were in Brooklyn, 6 here in Los Angeles. The most by Sandy Koufax and Carl Erskine, who's our guest tonight up in the booth. The most recent, the 27th of June, 1980, at San Francisco by Jerry Royce. So Fernando can do it. As Jose Gonzalez replaces Kirk Gibson out in left field. It would be just a little past that date 10 years ago when Jerry Royce accomplished the feat at Candlestick Park. Bottom third of the lineup coming up for the Cardinals. Hudler, Smith, and the new second baseman Wilson.
Dodgers protecting against a possible bunt. Both corner men in on the grass.
2-0 count to Hudler, who's got great speed. Fernando had not allowed a base runner since the first inning when he walked 2. In his last inning of work the 7th, he walked both Guerrero and Zeal. We got Pendleton on a fly ball to left, a liner to Kirk Gibson. That induced Jose Aquindo to a ground out to the third baseman. Chop foul, it's 2-1. That was just the 100th pitch delivered by Fernando Valenzuela. Inside edge, 2-2. It doesn't appear that long layoff of 15 or 20 minutes during the Dodgers' 2-run 7th, when the Cardinals also made a pitching change, has affected Valenzuela. If anything, at the outset of the 8th inning, he looks a little bit sharper than he did in the 7th.
Sometimes with the long inning that the Cardinals just had, staying in the field puts a little more pressure on them.
Big chopper. Griffin to Murray.
And you say, why is that? Well, the reason behind that is that they've got to stay out there longer. They were hopefully going to be in a position where they could challenge for this game. Doesn't seem to be that way right now, but what it does, it makes them think about having to get that base hit. And the longer they have nothing to do but think about it rather than try and get it done, as they do now, it just builds the pressure. One down here.
Ozzie started the night at 217. Perfect placement for the pitch by Valenzuela. Well, we saw the Cardinals with rally caps in the dugout in the last inning, but that was when the second, third, and fourth place hitters in the batting order were coming up. 1-1. Now it's the bottom third of the batting order with Craig Wilson on deck. Valenzuela, 5 outs away from his first career no-hitter. Gets the call. Home plate umpire Jerry Lane giving him the outside edge. It's 1-2. Smith didn't like it. Shows his displeasure by stepping back out of the box.
That's definitely a pitcher's pitch. At this point in time, that strike zone seems to be getting a little wider.
Well, Jerry Lane is only human. 2-2. Not that he's going to give any big breaks to Valenzuela. There is a buzz around the ballpark. I don't think everybody's getting caught up in it right now.
This is a situation where a guy has been around the plate with all his pitches all night long, now is getting the benefit.
Hard hit ball, well fouled.
Umpires love to do games in which the pitcher has great control. It makes it a very easy game for him to call, and he's going to get borderline pitches. Such is the case here earlier in the count.
Dave Stewart has already thrown a no-hitter tonight for the Oakland A's at the Sky Dome in Toronto. The A's beat the Jays 5-0. Full count now to Ozzie Smith. If Valenzuela can throw a no-hitter, it would be the first time in big league history that two have been thrown on the same day. You deserve it. Take a break. Wipe off the glasses. Circle the mound, but not quite like the Mad Hungarian who used to perform for the St. Louis Cardinals, who's right now in their broadcast booth a little bit down the way, Al Hrabowski.
He took our booth tonight again. That serves him.
Three and two count. Ozzie Smith at the plate. One away. Top of the eighth. And he got him. On a high breaking ball, Valenzuela got away with it. That may have been one of his weakest pitches of the night.
High off-speed breaking ball that Ozzie Smith goes after and does not get.
Wilson, second base.
2 down, 4 outs to go.
And a conversation with Mike Scioscia. What do you think he said? You got away with that one. Please don't try another. My heart can't take it.
Sometimes a hitter will go and see that pitch leaving his hand, looking for a sharper break to where it comes down a little better in the strike zone. Just didn't get there. He swung right over the top of it.
A little high to Craig Wilson in his first at bat of the night. Just called up recently from the Cardinals AAA affiliate in Louisville. Only 26 years old. Lifts it into the gap. Long run for Stan Javier. He's there. The no-hit bid continues for Valenzuela. He's pitched through 8, and they're on their feet of the stadium. The man of the hour, Dodger left-hander Fernando Valenzuela. He is due to hit third in the inning. And he can thank Stan Javier for a great grab in center field for the final out.
Good jump on a ball by Stan Javier. Actually makes this play look real easy. This ball well hit to the warning track. It hauls it in. I see Mickey Hatcher down at the end of the dugout getting a bat, Joel.
You know, I think it's a safe assumption by you, Ron, that they pinch hit for Fernando here in the bottom of the 8th.
with the Dodger Stadium crowd as noisy as it's been all year.
Revolt.
That would make for some very unhappy season ticket holders.
You wonder about those people, though, that left in the 6th and 7th.
Oh.
Samuel gets a hold of one, and it's gone. Save some. Is that an O with an exclamation point on it?
Sam Wells had a productive night offensively, 2 walks, and now this booming home run here to lead off the bottom of the 8th inning will increase the Dodger lead to 6-0. And of course, with Sam Wells struggling as much as he has, one of the better balls he's hit here in some time.
Juan had started the night at 205, 1 for 2 with a couple of walks. It's got to be encouraging for Tommy Lasorda to see some patience at the plate by Juan Samuel in picking up 2 walks tonight. Alfredo Griffin fouled it away, and it's 0-2. Valenzuela making his first appearance in the on-deck circle.
Number of hits, good run production, defense has played well. Fernando's pitched great. Just about all you could ask for an easy ball game.
Griffin and a medium left for Vince Coleman. That's the first out of the inning, and here comes Fernando. The bat, Ozzie Smith will take care of it. I think these fans just want the inning to get over with and get Fernando back to the hill.
Fernando might be thinking the same thing.
I was about to say, the guys in the booth up here are feeling that way right now. So Fernando will get ready to go back to the hill. There's still 2 away, though. Lenny Harris due to hit. And we're going to have a pinch hitter coming up, Mike Sharperson.
Your attention, please.
We'll see where this plays in the minds of Tom Lasorda defensively for this next half inning. Whether Harris will move over to second base with Sharperson taking over at third.
Mike hitting .303. 2 away, the base is empty. Fortunately for Horton and the Cardinals, nobody aboard, and that would have been the 4th wild pitch of the game. Outside edge, and it's even at a ball and a strike. So the Dodgers got a run in the first. Stayed that way until they got another in the bottom of the 5th to make it 2-0. Run in the 6th, 3-0. They busted it wide open with 2 more in the 7th. Home run here in the 8th by Juan Samuel. And it stands at 6-0. Bouncer up the middle, and Mike's got a base hit. You cannot say enough about the job Sharperson and Lenny Harris have done since taking over for Jeff Hamilton, and he was gone 2 weeks into the season.
They've certainly both filled in to do a great job. Sharperson hits a chopper back over the mound that Wilson has virtually no play on. But as well as the Dodgers have played all facets of the game tonight, it's also indicative of how poor the Cardinals have been and why they're in last place in the National League East. 3 errors, number of wild pitches, and no offense.
Base hit off the bat of Stan Javier. Sharperson Won't stop until he reaches third. Runners at the corners with 2 away for the Dodgers. Back-to-back hits by Javier and Sharperson.
Jose Gonzalez.
Productive night for Stan Javier. Sacrifice bunt led to the first run back in the first inning. Squeeze play that produced an RBI, and now his base hit up the middle. Continues to play outstanding offensive and defensive baseball.
First at bat of the evening for Jose Gonzalez, who entered the game as a defensive replacement in the top of the 8th for Kirk Gibson. Horton took something off of it. Strike 1. They truly look like a more aggressive team at the plate when they come home. They just don't look like they have that kind of spark on the road, especially when they're up there. 0-2.
Hard to go and understand what goes through the minds of the player when they are on the road. Certainly you want your ballpark to be a familiar one that you're comfortable with and feel more confidence, but certainly the Dodgers could be playing better on the road and will need to if they're going to make any impact in the National League West.
The Dodgers with the win tonight. They move within 10 games of the first place Reds. The Reds have already been defeated by the Mets 4-2. And Gonzalez goes down swinging. Second strikeout for Ricky Horton. But the Dodgers do get another run on Samuel's home run, and we'll find out if Valenzuela can come up with his first no-hitter when we return. One replacement for the Dodgers, Mike Sharperson. The pinch hitter for Lenny Harris, taking over as the defensive replacement now at third base, Fernando Valenzuela. Only 3 outs away from his first no-hitter. And the first since Jerry Royce pulled it off for the Dodgers at Candlestick Park on June 27th of 1980. It'll be Coleman, McGee, and Guerrero to face the Dodger left-hander. And during his career run, Coleman has not had a lot of luck against Fernando.
Not much whatsoever. 151 in 53 at-bats coming into tonight's ballgame. So certainly a good man for Fernando to be leading the inning off with.
It's outside for ball 1.
Both Dodger corners at first and third up. Infield shallow, and of course you've got to protect with Coleman's great speed. Anytime he makes contact, he's got a chance to beat that play out.
2-0.
Last 2 pitches, Fernando seems to be aiming the ball instead of just letting it go. He's had great success with being able to be around the plate with all of his pitches tonight.
Inside edge, it's 2-1. Fernando set the Cardinals down in order in the 8th, the bottom third in the Cardinal lineup. But he did have his problems in the 7th, allowing his first base runner since the 1st, walking both Guerrero and Zeal in that 7th inning. Now he gets ready to deal the 2-1 to Coleman. Just fouled. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
As we've been watching this game from the first inning on, Fernando has been in complete control. He's had a good curveball. What he's had is an outstanding screwball and the best cut fastball he's had all year long. The last 2 pitches that he's thrown has been the good cut fastball on the inner half.
The 2-2. He's got the call. He's 2 outs away from the no-hitter, and Coleman doesn't like it.
You be the judge. We're blocked by the path of Fernando's back to see whether it can pick up the corner. Look borderline, but in this case, with Fernando pitching so well, he gets it.
7 strikeouts for Valenzuela as Willie McGee stands in, taking ball 1.
And a lot of very happy Dodger fans here tonight. Probably the biggest exciting game that they've seen all year. Certainly not much to shout about when you're 10 games back. But a great night for Dodger fans in particular, who experiencing one of those rare nights that you get a chance to see a man fulfill a dream of a no-hitter.
Fernando has walked only 2. Cardinals have had only 3 base runners throughout the contest. And it's now 2-0 to McGee. Guerrero is on deck. Willie hit the ball hard. Once in his 3 at-bats. That was back in the 4th inning. 3-0. It's a liner right of the left fielder, Kirk Gibson.
Fernando has struggled with McGee. All 3 pitches here. Not been sharp. Possibly trying a little bit too hard.
And misses with 4 straight. The 3rd walk given up by Valenzuela. And all 3 over the last 2 1/3.
Pete Guerrero on his way to home plate, certainly not the St. Louis Cardinal that Dodger fans want to see break up this no-hitter.
Reached on that error by Gibson back in the 1st. Fly out to the center fielder in the 4th. Walked, was stranded at 3rd in the 7th. Sharp grounder is foul as McGee was off with the pitch. He's not being held on by Eddie Murray. And with good reason. It's a 6-0 Los Angeles lead. Samuel close to the second base bag. Griffin is in the hole. Shading Guerrero over to the left side.
Another reason McGee was off and running is they want to make Fernando pitch to at least 2 more people to get this no-hitter. They want to stay out of that double play situation.
0-2 to Guerrero. He's had 7 2-hitters. He's never even thrown a 1-hitter. And now he's trying for a no-hitter. The 0-2 delivery to Pedro Guerrero. Up the middle, off the glove. Can they turn 2? There's the no-hitter! There's the no-hitter! Fernando Valenzuela with his first no-hitter and the first for the Dodgers since Jerry Royce in 1980. It was off his glove, but Samuel was shading him to that side of the infield.
With McGee running 2 pitches prior, something they did not want to happen, turns out to be the downfall. And the no-hitter is preserved.
And how did Fernando feel after it tipped his glove? Yes! Socia was ready.
We were ready.
Since the 5th. We started talking about it in the 5th inning. And Fernando accomplishes a dream this evening at Dodger Stadium.
It was a masterpiece this evening as the Dodgers come home beating the Cardinals 6-0. But that's not the story. The story, Fernando Valenzuela, a no-hitter, the first for the Dodgers since 1980. We started talking about it because of the screwball, the great cut fastball that he possessed tonight way back in the 5th.
Well, it doesn't get any better than this. Of course, he had the great fastball. Movement on his fastball, was on location all night long, never gave the Cardinals an inch to move with, and they just pitched great. Super game.
Without a doubt, our Budweiser player of the game this evening, Fernando Valenzuela, as we head downstairs now to the happiest man in Southern California. Fernando, Joel Myers upstairs with Ron Say. Congratulations. We enjoyed sitting in on your dream come true. When did you start thinking about it?
Well, really, thank you. I think, this is my 10th year with the Dodgers, and really, this was my first exciting game. Really, I'm very happy. The team offense, they doing pretty good. My teammate behind me, they playing great. I think, that's why I have this game, because all my defense and offense behind me playing pretty good. But really, I never thinking, throw no hitters. So I go every inning and I try to go hard and take the first man out. That's what I try to do in all game.
Fernando, just an outstanding performance. I felt that this is the best we've seen you pitch, obviously, all year long, but I thought you had your best screwball and your best cut fastball tonight. How did you feel?
Yes, I think the main thing in this game, I think, is the control. I haven't tried to keep the cut fastball inside and the screwball away. So I think all my pitches working pretty good, and the curveball sometimes against right-handed, I try to throw it down and in, and I think when in the EA when Wilson hit that ball, I think it's going out, and I say, well, we have 5 runs behind me, and let's go win the game.
Fernando, I was just about to ask you about Mr. Wilson, Craig Wilson, that is. He comes up with 2 outs in the top of the 8th inning. Now, you haven't seen him. He's only 2 for 9 since coming up from Louisville. Did you know anything about him at all? And when it left the bat, did you think Javier had a chance?
Well, really, I don't know him. I don't have a report about him, but I called Shosiak to talk about him, and he said, let's go throw a cut fastball inside, and let's go with the screwball away. So that first pitch is a ball, and I come next pitch is the screwball. So he hit the ball pretty good, but fortunately it's right out, and Javier is there, and the final inning.
Fernando, stay on cloud 9 for a long, long time. Thank you for joining us. Congratulations once again.
Okay, thanks, guy. Thank you.
Right.
All right.
Fernando Valenzuela pitching his first no-hitter, the first for the Dodgers since just a decade ago. Seems like it was only yesterday. No, Jerry Royce, June 27th, 1980. You were a part of that no-hitter. You've been a part of a few no-hitters. This was my first, and I've always been told to stay superstitious around ball players. Don't talk about it, but we got into that conversation very early tonight.
Yeah, I think it's just a situation where you have to deal with one's personality. With Jerry Royce, I remember there was 2 outs in the 9th, and as the ball was going around the horn, I asked him, as I flipped the ball back to him, how bad he wanted it. And of course, Bill North hit a little tapper back to the mound, and his no-hitter was preserved. But certainly a great moment, the most exciting night this year for Dodger fans, and electrifying. Just pitched great. 2 different times he had to pitch very careful to Pedro Guerrero, who's given him trouble. Once he walked him, and then of course the last time deflects that ball back up the middle. Dodgers turned the ball over for a double play. Ball game is over.
And that deflection by Valenzuela cannot be minimized. Now, Juan Samuel is shading Guerrero over to that side of the infield towards the second base pack, because Griffin is now deep in the hole, playing over to the left side for the pull hitter Guerrero. If Valenzuela does not get a piece of the ball to slow it down, it could have very well gone up the middle.
It's very possible it could have, but I did not think off the bat that it was hit that hard. I thought that Fernando was frozen a little bit, and that what was allowing him to get a piece of that ball. If not, with Guerrero's speed, they may have been able to get 1 out somewhere, but it may have been McGee going into second base safely. But nonetheless, a double play turned the game over and preserved the doubleheader.
Well, Fernando did have a base runner aboard in the first. It was Kirk Gibson's error that allowed a Cardinal to reach, but the Cardinals did not score in the first inning. The Dodgers did. As we look back on the way things developed this evening, the Dodgers gave Fernando Valenzuela an early lead to work with.
And it was an auto sacrifice fly with the bases loaded and one away off the bat of QB Brooks. Lenny Harris coming home to score, giving the Dodgers a 1-0 lead. Lenny Harris involved once again. He scored 3 of the first 5. It was on a squeeze from Stan Javier. And it was 2-0 after 5. Bottom of the 6th. The Dodgers get another. Thank you, QB Brooks. A solo shot. His 10th home run of the season, his first since the 9th of June. 3-0 Los Angeles. On to the bottom of the 7th inning. The Dodgers would bust it wide open. Kirk Gibson with his first hit of the night. Runners at second and third, 2 away. And it brings home Lenny Harris and Fernando Valenzuela. 5-0 Dodgers. Bottom of the 8th inning. Juan Samuel leading off the inning with his 5th home run of the year off reliever Ricky Horton. So the Dodgers on cruise control offensively, up 6-0, but a lot of work still to be done. And Pedro Guerrero's at the plate. It's off the glove of Valenzuela. Samuel turns 2. And Pedro Guerrero is the final victim of Fernando Valenzuela. Almost fitting, I guess, according to Dodger fans, that he would be the one they turn the double play on.
Well, it was his night. There's no question about it. We saw that little flare that he got in his last at bat. We turned to each other and said, it's got to be his night. If he gets a hit like that, everything's going to turn out, and it did.
So the Dodgers inch closer to the 500 mark. Now they're at 36-37. Valenzuela at 6-6. Now he will savor the moment. And you've been around players, and I would imagine right now in the clubhouse, nobody's going to want to really leave this evening.
No, they're going to want to savor this as much as they can. And, of course, with their 4-man rotation now, it's not going to give them as much time as a 5-man rotation. But certainly a great moment in anybody's career, and well-deserved. He pitched that well tonight.
And let's look ahead. Maybe it's the momentum that the Dodgers need. They come back home where they're now 22-15. They have a record on the road, 8 games below the 500 mark. A mystery why they can't be more successful on the road. But now they can pick up some ground, hopefully, before the All-Star break, because this is one of the most important stretches right here at Dodger Stadium.
They have a nice long homestand, and they played very well in the last one, and that's what got them started. Hopefully they can make up some ground, pick up some games, pick up some confidence, and head into the second half of the season on a very positive note.
So it was a night we will all cherish at Dodger Stadium. It's rare you get to sit in on a no-hitter, and we did tonight on Sports Channel, as the Dodgers defeated the St. Louis Cardinals behind Fernando's big night, 6-0.